So we have a game, we have a live game between Rational Point and Tiger Combo 85. So yeah, we have Xander versus Leia. Okay. So we had started with an open Sicilian with just a few moves in. So we had E4, C5, knight F3, D6. So that's your modern approach instead of knight C6, right? D4. Now the main line is takes. Now Leia made an interesting move. We'll have to look at this, how this turns out. I mean, this is just something you don't really see because it's just not the main line. Then you have to figure out, okay, can white play E5 or something? I'm not sure that even works, because then there's a queen trade and the king has to move. We'll look at that afterwards, but I think it transposes. But then suddenly he takes on, well, then he takes on C5. Now, of course, he could play knight C3. Then you might have something standard, right? But he takes, and then she takes the E pawn. So again, so she's actually getting rid of both of his central pawns, because normally we're going to have the C pawn traded for the D. Now we have the E for the C currently. So she's getting rid of his center, but she's got a little bit of a loose knight out there. So she got to be careful. Okay, we have the check. Then he voluntarily takes. We'll look into whether he needs to do that. And again, as I just mentioned, we're going to look at C6. So here we are. So we have the trade. He has a hanging pawn. He's going to lose a pawn, so he takes it. So now we have what? We have 6 for 6. Slight imbalance here. We have a couple of imbalances. Yeah, good move. He just castles and G6. And then Leia figures out, okay, let's finish the development by creating a dragon scenario to become a dragon setup. A little bit different, again, a little different, because normally white would have the E pawn and black would have D6 in. That would be your standard dragon Draco constellation, right? Our Draco star constellation, which is apparently what the dragon's named now. That would be your standard dragon. Now we have a knight there instead of a pawn. Okay, so here we are. Now we have we're still not settled yet, though. We're definitely not settled. Because again, she's 2 moves from castling. So if you're playing with Rational Point here, you've got to try to strike when the iron's hot. Because if you don't, well, black has a pretty good position, right? So let's talk about, okay, now we're talking about the imbalances, the Silman thinking technique. So let's break it down. What are the imbalances? I'm going to jot it down in this position. And you can see the ratings, yeah. But, well, I don't think they both have kind of not established. They're both provisional. But you can see they're both like mid, 14, 1500 range. Okay, so what's going on here? What are the just pure differences that we can figure out the components of the position? What are the pure differences between whites and blacks position? There are like at least 3. Okay, what do you guys note so far? I'm going to jot it on the side. Just any observations you have so far about
right now white's castled, which is good.
Yeah, that's important. And she's trying to catch up now, as we see, but especially a couple moves ago.
Yep.
Yeah, especially a couple moves ago, it was even more pertinent. Because then, maybe then that would affect whether Xander can do something about that. Now I think it's going to be tough. She's going to castle. Okay, so W, it would say W is castled. Black's king. And we'll say a little shorthand, we'll say center. Okay. And then what else? When you say white has a little bit of a lead, well, kind of attached to that, let's say white lead in I think there's a symbol for development, is there not? But I'll say DEV. I think there's a symbol for development that you look in the legend for the studies. So white is the lead in development. Now, the main thing, of course, pawn's the soul of chess. So as I was talking about a lot, we had the trade of the E for the C. So because of that, what's the result? What's the chain? Okay, she's castled. So, but that was, let's say we're analyzing from a couple moves ago. And what I was getting at, though, with that is that maybe he could have played queen D4. See that? Right, that's what we're going to look at afterwards, because it might force her to go F6 to maintain the kind of integrity of her structure and not have to play rook G8, because she can still cast, but she has to commit to F6. So that's what we'll look at. It's kind of opportunistic sort of moves. See, that's why that's where you start to see things like that. So again, a couple of things to look at after the game, whether sidelines or could have beens. That's very strong queen D4, right? But again, it's an exploitative kind of opportunistic move. So anyhow, so we'll look at that afterwards. What else do we have here? So now she's castle, but we'll look from here anyway. What do you think? What about pawn? Okay, the other main aspect is pawn structure. So what's the what's the main difference in the structure here, and how is it? We'll figure out how it's relevant. But what pure again, we don't need to judge when we do the imbalances. We just need to lay it out first. We have our data in front of us, the facts. What's the difference? Oh, different types of pieces on the board and different pawn structure. So what are a couple other observations? Yeah.
Well, one thing that jumps out is it looks like White has an opportunity to take advantage of the open E file with that rook or the queen or both.
Yeah, E and D then. E and D, then that's because of the absence of the central pawns. Karpov doesn't have something like that, where he goes like E takes F4. He doesn't have the center, but he just blasts through kind of X-rays. So we have E and D, half open. Oh, there's actually an open D and a half open E for White to utilize. Right, specifically, if you use the chess vocabulary there, the half open file, right? So the E and D files for White to attempt to, and again, given the lead in development, I mean, he's going to have to play like bring out the knight and the bishop, maybe the E7 pawn, Ronnie, right? As you say, rook E1, you're looking at that, right? Bishop G5, again, maybe induce F6. We wouldn't mind inducing F6, right? Try to block her bishop on G7, weaken some light squares. So if we induce F6, that should be a small win there. So we have the E and D files, and maybe be the first one to take the open file. Okay, now the only other thing is pawn structure. What's the main difference in the structure? Again, we have the absence of the of a few pawns. Well, E and D for White, C and D for Black. So what does that mean? What are we left with? Look at the majorities.
Oh, well, there's a king side majority for Black and queen side majority for White. That's, that's also, pretty apparent. Both of them have like 2-pawn islands, so they're not, fractured up into multiple pawn islands at this point, at least.
Yes, exactly. So we can't say that anyone has weak pawns necessarily. Well, we would like to induce some weaknesses with F6. So there are very few like apparent weaknesses in the position. But there is the majority. So White might like to, we would both like to push our majorities at the opportune moment, right? White wouldn't mind playing like C4, C5 and getting that pawn rolling. And then Black wouldn't mind, in the future, maybe E5, E4, maybe F5, and start steamrolling. And that could actually transition into a passed pawn or maybe just a kingside attack, right? Because if you get that E and F pawn rolling, we have a dream. Now we start judging it. We can start seeing stuff like this, right? Make the knight move and play F3, and you got some stuff in there, right? Maybe a full-fledged pawn storm. But you can imagine E3 and F3 becoming, that's not there yet. Hey, that's a dream position. So Silman's idea is first you have the imbalances, and then based on that, you say, all right, what's my dream position? Well, let me use those pawns. Let me start steamer. Oh, and the other thing is bishop pair, right?
Yeah.
That's important too, because Xander chose to take. So bishop pair, those are all the main imbalances that I see. That's pretty important. Just having those is pretty important to understand. And then and for White, maybe something like this, maybe some kingside attack. Now obviously then the rubber meets the road, and we have to say, well, the bishop's going to be there, and we can't, but and then we got to watch out for the fire breathing dragon on G7, right? But yeah, again, quasi dragon, because it's not our typical structure, which means we have to think a little more independently. We don't get what we're used to here, because of Leia's knight F6, which is interesting. I thought it was very interesting. So I'd say it's, pretty even here. It's more equal chances. It's more about how they utilize those imbalances now. So we each can have a dream position, say, oh, we want to use those pawns. And then obviously our piece placement is going to align with that, right? Get the right piece placement in tandem with the pawn structure. Yeah, and Black should be okay with castling here. Pretty soon, which she does. Then we'll go to the current position. But this is important because we've kind of reached some stasis now. Pieces aren't flying around. No one's under attack. She's about to. Hey, Xander still has Queen D4 though, right? He still could have played Queen. Oh, I think that's what I'm talking about now. But then
what we're looking at is, I guess you realize that's a couple of moves behind what the current
yes, exactly. But since we're there, I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, we're going to catch up. But first, look at this and say, okay, what's possible now?
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise I have to keep changing the imbalances. I mean, we'll change as we go, but at least we have a static moment now, right? And that's where you're like, well, he could keep it dynamic with queen d4. And remember, because she's uncastled, that's what black would hope for dynamics, like I'm saying with that. And if it doesn't, it becomes static and it's even, maybe black has even got something going with the bishop pair, right? And the pawn storm. So anyway, but you see, like, we're beginning, this is our starting point, kind of late, getting close to the middle game, right? And even though we're not in the middle game yet, we should be developing our pieces in line with the middle game that we want. We're not just going to go random, like, oh, knight c3, bishop b3, rook e1, right? And black's not just going to, rook c8 or whatever, queen 8, b6, or, think about how how that's going to fit in. So anyhow, yeah, then we're going to catch up. Does that make sense? So at least we can have a pretty good understanding of where we began at, at a static moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's see, and then we'll catch up. So anyway, this is where we now we'll see whether they actually respond to those imbalances or how or whether they create new imbalances. But we have a pretty, again, the point is we understand the components for both sides, and we kind of have some ideas of, black might want to use the bishop pair and the pawns, white wants to use the lead development, the central files, as you said, Ronnie, and the queenside majority. So pretty clear play, right? And then black would love to, white would love rather to maybe trade off a bishop pair or shut down the bishops and have some pieces. So we're gonna have a battle of the minor pieces too. So again, purely a Silman technique. I mean, other techniques too, but that technique will really give us. So I don't know if you guys saw all that at the beginning, right? But you see, just by breaking it down, we see a lot, right? We have a pretty good idea, and then we use our judgment. We can evaluate and say, okay, what's our plan, and so on. But yeah, now the rubber meets the road, and we'll see where we actually are and whether they, are doing any of these things that we talked about, or whether they have different plans. Let's see, and then we can compare that against that. But again, I see that queen d4 idea for Xander. I think that was an important moment for him to really play in an exploitative kind of way, right? To try to exploit the fact that her king was, well, there was the diagonal with the rook being exposed and the uncastled king. So again, white needed to do something in that dynamic moment before it dries up. And then you have, again, sort of a more like stasis, a more static moment. So anyhow, let's see what happened now. Let's catch up, as you said. Just go, well, we can go here. Okay, so you guys can see this shared screen?
Yep.
The arrows, okay. Ron, you saw the shared screen with the comments I wrote?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can look at it on their screen, on
Yeah.
So here we are. Sorry?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at both. I'm looking at your shared screen, and I'm also on Leech's looking at the actual game.
Right. It's kind of like having some streams. You have the current position, and then you have the analysis of the given position. Okay, so which can get confusing sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where I'm saying, but we can't analyze every position at once. So, stop there for a moment. Okay, so bishop f4. Let's see how they develop based on our understanding, and maybe they do something we didn't think of. Maybe they find a good idea that we didn't look at yet. So yeah, Xander's. But you can see Xander's finishing his development, but you can see that Leia's catching up now because she got to castle. She's only one tempo behind, right? Well, it's typical white versus black, where white gets the first move, so he brings up her queen, and then she could bring up her queen if she wants, or she can just. Oh, interesting. So he had the option of taking the knight on d6 and possibly winning a pawn. But see, that might have been a bit greedy to do that, because maybe it's not what he wants, because then she could double his c pawns and so on. And it's like, okay, you win the d pawn, but you have a fractured queen side and stuff. So that's worthy of consideration, where she could have created a new imbalance. Well, he would create the material imbalance, and then she would create the structural imbalance. And she'd have to part with that nice bishop on g7, though. I kind of like queen b6. Yeah, what do you guys think? I kind of like that stuff too. Looking at that, targeting that b pawn, typical dragon type stuff. You're looking at the diagonal plus the c file, plus maybe some queen action like b6 or a5 and or a5. So that's interesting for her. Now there's two bars in the way. Okay, that's annoying. Let me get rid of that. All right. So that's interesting there, possibilities. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so then now that's an interesting. So she said, okay, so she's probably noticing that the technically the e pawn was hanging, right, by extension, because you'd have the bishop capturing the knight, ultimately just picking up the e pawn. So the knight's not hanging. The knight just traded for the bishop, but ultimately it's the e pawn that would fall when you cancel it out. But again, I don't. He probably didn't. They probably didn't like the, or he probably didn't like the prospect of c3 hanging. Interesting. See there, he's trading off that bishop pair of blacks. And then again, there's that f6 move, which might be fine now because she's fully developed. She can play e5, right? She can prep that e5. Oh, that's interesting. Wow, now we're getting dynamic. So now it's becoming dynamic again. So we have two hanging pieces on the board. So what do you guys? Okay, now let's evaluate this new position. So this is more of a tactical evaluation than a positional. But you can see positionally, if things are static again, I would probably go for e5 with black, right? Use the e pawn to secure your, to use the f pawn to secure the e pawn and start steamrolling over here, right? At least, hey, we got that pawn, let's use it, right? That's our imbalance. We got that king side sort of kind of central majority. Let's use that central pawn. But in the meantime, Xander's posing a real problem because he wants to invade on the 7th rank and pick up that one and say, okay, you want to take my bishop, double those pawns, right? Double up your pawns on the half open file. I'd love to pick those off later. Come on into your 7th rank. Well, that's not pleasant. So Leia's got a little bit of a conundrum here. What do you guys think? What would you do? Let's flip it. What would you do here if you had the black pieces? She decided to take. Let's see. You can analyze this as well from this moment. So clearly he's going to take the bishop, and like I said, that's a little messy. That's kind of what he wants to ruin her structure a bit, right? Just like she might want to take his c3 knight earlier and ruin his structure, which obviously isn't possible in this position. But what do you guys think about that? What would you have moved your bishop out of the way? That's the only other real legitimate option here would be to move the bishop and maybe trade queens. Bishop c6, bishop e6, kind of like bishop c6. What do you guys think? What would you have done here? I think he's going to take that bishop though. Oh, maybe he's looking at the insertion of a check. That's interesting. And then take anyway. What would you guys have done? Think about this position. Very sharp. Would you have moved your bishop or taken? Again, it has drawbacks, right? You're also giving up your, let's see here. You're giving up the bishop pair as well, because you're trading the dark square for the light square, and you do have the double isolated pawn. So it certainly has its drawbacks, right? By doing that. So I would try to maybe move the bishop. What do you guys think? Because you can't guard the bishop. You can bring the knight back, and then he'll still probably go ahead and take it. In this case, he'll probably take, because now we don't have bishop take c3. You just win the pawn. So you see the nuances there, right? Very interesting. Every factor matters, right? That we've talked about. They're all these factors are coming into play in slightly different ways based on, the new positions that arise. What do you guys think about the bishop? Would you move it or would you take it like she did? What's the evaluation here?
I probably would have taken the, I don't know.
You would have taken like she did?
Um,
It's tempting. I don't know.
yeah.
Look at the pawn there. She can blockade the pawn. She can blockade it, or he can blockade it. Has its drawbacks because you see the bishop, right? Pawn is arguably weak. Trade off bishop pair, let the queen. So you see there are some drawbacks to taking, right?
Yeah.
As for this one, what are the drawbacks? Well, I'm tempted. Maybe bishop e6 to cover the light. The light squares are weak though. Maybe she was concerned about that. I'm curious to hear her thinking on this move. I kind of like bishop c6, yeah, because you're looking at the knight again. Hey, we keep looking at double pawn prospects here, right? A lot of possibilities to double up pawns, right? By capturing pieces and doubling pawns. Yeah, I'm tempted to play bishop c6. Yeah, look at that. It's kind of nice. The knight can't really go there. You'll take it later. So bishop c6. Yeah, fine. You trade queens.
Yeah.
Because it's guarded twice. Now maybe, oh wait, well then we got to look at a queen move to expose. Okay, let's say there. Now we move our queen and attack the B pawn. So you can see this could be strong. That might be very strong. We'll look at that afterwards. I kind of like that one. Yeah. This one's okay. More defensive. Covers the diagonal. You may not need to. I like this is more aggressive. But again, you're going to play 5. Move your king to H8. Get your king out. Get your king out of the way. Right. Should be safe. Can't really. Pretty good fortification for Leia too. Yeah. Look at that. She's got a lot of stuff around her king. I don't see her king coming under fire anytime soon. And again, if she gets that bishop going, boom, that's an uncontested bishop.
Yeah, I
No,
like that
no,
move.
no. Yeah, I like bishop c6 too. We'll look at that. We'll compare it. Now let's see. Okay, so now we have the next decision. So he pretty much has to take. I mean, I guess he can insert this. Probably doesn't do much. So it actually, interestingly, it probably helps her because she wants to. It's like the threat is greater than the execution. Leave the prospect of the diagonal checks open, right? Probably better to keep that there because it doesn't really do anything. And then she's going to take anyway. I mean, I'm mixing up. He's going to take her bishop on d7. Okay. So takes. Rook here. So she can push her pawn, but she has to be defensive a little bit. That's a nice rook, of course. And then yep, that's what I was thinking. Pretty good move, I think. Blockade the pawn. It's what you should do there. Got to blockade the pawn, keep the bishop locked in, right? That's a good treatment of this position. And then now she challenges the rook. Okay. So let's see what he does. I mean, double rooks, right? You can double them up. You want to keep your rook on the 7th, of course, if you can. So it's interesting. So he's got a little pressure, right? He's definitely building up some pressure here. Good knight, good rook. So she's challenging it, which is a good decision, I think. She's got to watch out, for example, like e6, right? See how the knight can kind of bother her in there. So yeah, he's getting some pressure. We'll see how it goes.
Well, he'll still have the rook on on d7 if he doubles up the rooks and
Yeah.
there's an exchange.
Exactly. I would recommend that. Yeah, I would say he should probably double because I mean, he's worked hard for that rook to be on the 7th. May as well keep it there, right? Make her find a way to get rid of it, right? The burden would be on her then, so got to try.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he did.
Yep. Now she's got some counterattacking. Oh, very interesting. Try to find a move that she has. Very interesting move. She has some counterattacking prospects here. And sort of a way indirectly of handling, well, pretty directly actually, of handling the rook on d7. Now probably not a good move would be to take the rook because you just let it replace it and then but see he's putting he's stepping up the pressure though. He's mobilizing everything. He's got to watch out for his back rank. That's the main problem for him. Back rank could be an issue in the future. But hey, for now he's fighting for the control of the file. Hey, if you can't get it on the file, you're not going to get to the back rank, right? But that's there. That is there. He doesn't have to worry about her back rank. She still has that bishop. It might rear its head later, but try to find this. I think she has a very interesting move right now to deal with the file. Do you guys see what it is? Kind of tactical.
Looks like it might be that knight to d4.
Yes. Yeah. Very tactical. Very strong move. It's a very strong move because hey, even though she's got those double pawns, she has d4, right? She has.
Oh, wait a second. So if she moves the knight to d4, then oh no, the knight can't just take right away because already white would have to take.
She would be winning. She went the other way. That's interesting too.
Yeah.
I kind of like knight d4 because she could take on f3 and some. No, he would, but she's doing the same thing. No, it's the same thing basically. It's very nice because she can't take the knight. He can't take that knight. He takes mixing them up. He can't take the knight because then she takes on d7 and the knight's pinned on d6. That would just lose.
Wait.
So if you see what I'm talking about? What do you see?
Yeah, wait a second. So if white captures the knight on d6, oh no, they can't capture the knight on d6 because then the rook takes on d7. Black takes.
Not only
on
that,
D7.
yeah. So he's winning the exchange currently.
Yeah.
I'll just use the names. Tiger. I see the name.
Yeah.
Tiger combo. will then win the
Uh.
exchange. And you see not only that, what's going on now? It's not just an exchange loss, because now you got the problem on the D file, right? So she actually would flip it on him. It's brilliant. She'd be flipping that D file control on him. He didn't quite have it yet. He was about to get the D file, and she's like, "Nope, you're not getting there yet. I'm going to make you work for that," right? So she's sort of neutralized the D. Now her knight has, her. It's a better situation than it was, though. I'd say for sure. She got rid of that very strong rook on D7, right? So she's mitigated that pressure. I think that was very good
Well,
choice.
now white can capture the knight, and then if black can't, well, wait a second, or can recapture with the pawn.
Exactly, and that helps her, right?
Yeah.
Help her. Think about
Yeah, then undoubles the pawns, and
yes,
then the supports the pawn on E5.
much so again, she would be reducing some of those negatives. She has some deficits here, potential deficits. Okay, taking maybe control of the D file / rook on the 7th. You got to worry about the double. I mean, the double pawns are not happy there because it's blocking the bishop. It's blocking the bishop. The knight's blockading it. It's a bit targeted. So I'm not too happy about those double pawns. So she'd be undoubling the pawns. Yeah, he didn't take. She would be undoubling her pawns, and then you start to see that bishop becoming a strong piece later, right? Unleash the bishop later, and suddenly she might be doing better. She might have an advantage then. So he made the right choice. I think he did not take the knight. Now the other move to look at, again, they have a couple alternatives to investigate afterwards. I think that knight d4 move that you mentioned, Ronnie, might be strong, right? Might be very strong. Same thing happens, but now you got to take back. It's with check. But then you're trying to take f3 and actually win the rook / double the pawn. So we see in this game, we have one of the themes is doubled pawns, right? A lot of doubled pawn prospects. It actually did happen on the E file. A lot of possibilities to double the F and C pawns too. Very interesting. A lot of pawn structure decisions in this game, right? Minor piece decisions, which minor pieces are we going to have? How is our, see, those are all imbalances, right? Different minor pieces, they're battling for supremacy. Superior pawn structure, those are the main themes, right? Control of lines. So we have a few themes going on here that are very interesting, and those will inform your decisions and trying to fight for an advantage, right? Knight d6, that was a good move. It's either, so again, we're gonna look at knight d4 as well afterwards. A couple of moves that we can look at tactically to see which one's better. So yeah, but she's neutralized the file. She's kind of pinned. I mean, she can only go to f7 to guard the rook. She can't go forward. She's not really threatening the knight on e4. So it's sort of pinned. So knight to g5. She gets, oh, very nice move. So she gets off the line. And also, I think Rational Point would like to sink the knight on e6, wouldn't he? It's a weak square. He wants to come on into e6 and be pretty annoying there. So she moves her rook away, which takes away some of the sting of knight e6, you see? Does that all make sense?
Yep.
You with me, Ronnie, as well?
Yeah.
You got that? And now that's a nice move because she's trying to counter. And remember what I said, back rank mate. He can't get too ambitious, right? Which is why he makes, I think, another nice move. They're both making really strong moves here, very strong play. Good defense, some good defensive moves on both sides. Yeah, I think Leia played an excellent defense because he had a lot of heat here. Excellent defense here. And then she neutralized most of his pressure. And now she turns the tables a bit, right? So she keeps trying to turn the tables on him. So they're fighting for the initiative. Now he makes it, I'd say that's a strong move. Oh, I thought about that move. Very nice. Nice c4. Now she's counterattacking, right? Very interesting. Hey, maybe she can come back to d6. And, if he goes b3, he's got to worry about c3 pawn, right? So she's really creating some good counterplay here. And he's like, okay, I don't care about that one. I want piece activity. So now it's a crapshoot. They're all kind of attacking each other, and we'll see how this works out. But those knights are trying to come in with the rook. So, he's got good piece activity. She mostly has the knight, and then he's got the rook coming in on the 7th again. She's like, I really want that 7th rank. So we'll see how it'll be interesting. A tough evaluation to make here. I mean, he does have more active pieces, right? but it all comes down, that he's trying to pick off her pawns and so forth. She's trying to come in on the C and B files. So it's interesting. Let's see how this shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, right now, what strikes me the most is two things. It's almost as if White is playing with an extra minor piece because of the way that the bishop is blocked in on G7. That seems to be a part of it, and like you say, White's pieces seem to be a lot more active in their, challenging, at least getting in close to the king, whereas Black doesn't have anything moving against the White king at this point.
True. Yeah. I think she's okay there, but she has to be very cautious with, that's probably why she wanted to guard her e-pawn. Because she's probably looking at some stuff with like rook takes e7 and the knight e6 ideas, things like that. Pretty uncomfortable, right? So she probably was wise to be prudent, to be cautious. Oh, another move would be like bishop f6 to guard the pawn. But yeah, she's certainly, her main counterattack there is with the knight on c4, but now that's kind of nullified. He doesn't play b3, he takes the pawn, simultaneously guarding his own b pawn. So he's at least trying to pick off a pawn here, maybe two. So it'll come down to the pawns now, in terms of whether he can get a substantial pawn advantage, right? Pawn material advantage. Because yeah, again, I mean, it's sometimes you can, in many cases, you can give away a pawn just to get piece activity like he has, right? But in this case, I don't even think he needs to lose a pawn. So this is important right here, critical moment. So we'll see if it can become decisive or if she can still find a good defense. But you can see the queenside pawns are falling, right? So it's difficult. Yeah, he's got the queenside pawns, right? That might be decisive, huh? See. But she needs a good counterattack here. Or else the pawns will win, yeah. And then again, as you can see, guys, you see the battle of the minor pieces. Well, previously, Ron, you said it's like he had an extra minor piece in the game because the bishop was purely defensive, right? Now she's using her knight well, but ultimately it didn't get to do what it wanted to do. And once again, we see the battle of the knight versus bishop, and we can see the knight's doing pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, ultimately that's how it shook out was the D file actually came back. I think what happened was maybe I think we're gonna look at this. I think we're gonna see maybe knight f7 happening here as maybe knight f7 needs to happen because that rook ultimately did come in. Knight f7 challenges that rook again. It's like that's not perfect, but you can play the minor piece endgame. And again, but I think we're seeing the couple of decisions we'll look at with the doubled pawns and so forth in terms of affecting the
Wait a second.
F7
F7,
off the knights.
knight F7, you're saying?
Maybe, yeah, I'm thinking about
Yeah,
that.
but knight F7, then knight captures knight, and then the rook is sort of hanging, or you picked up the knight for free.
We'll take a look at that. Take a look at this position where I'm sharing right now. If knight f7, it tactically should be fine. Take a look at why.
Wait a second. Because it opens up the file. Wait,
Right.
Opens up the
Right.
file for black, and then black can wait a minute. If black moves knight to f7, all right, no, it's wait a minute.
Because the rook,
And
the rook
white
is
moves,
threatened.
white goes,
Yeah.
right. Because in other words, it's white to move. So if white captures the rook, if white were to take the knight with the knight, then black has the back rank, right? Mate on D1.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's obvious.
And then otherwise he takes the rook, but hey, I mean, at least you don't have to worry about him invading on the file when you try to like hold the minor piece endgame. It's not ideal, but maybe that's the way to go. Try to like contain the knights a bit because the knight going on d8, hey, you keep that knight out at e6, right? Kick him away, and again, it's not ideal mainly because of the double pawns. That's an example of double pawns that are not ideal because mostly because they shut the bishop down, right? They give the knight a square. That's the main reason. So I think really if Leia, if we're gonna look back at one decision, it might be the decision to take on e5. That's a positional decision. So maybe next time Leia can look at it, maybe next time she can do the other way if that in a similar scenario and keep her pawn structure tight, right? Yeah, and then Xander just kept his own position tight. And ultimately, yeah, he won some pawns. So we'll see what she can do here though. So she threatens mate. Once again, he sees it. And the knight stops the rook check on d2, which is important, right? But she's got to try, you know, she's got to do whatever she can. Aha, nice move. See, here's the thing. So she's down what? She's down 2 pawns, right? But if she picks up 1 pawn, what happened? She resigned. I don't know. You know, I don't know yet because she's going to pick up a pawn, right? I mean, he does have the connected pass pawns. But like what I was saying is, especially if Xander lets her. Nice game, guys. If you're back, if you've turned the ball, but especially if, okay, you see the position. Especially if you allow Leia to take your B pawn, so you're like, okay, I'm going to give you my G pawn, but not my B pawn. That's probably a good decision because I mean that's your strength right there, right? And the knight's good too. That's what we're looking at. So the rook's in. So basically we're talking about you had a lot of piece activity and then ultimately you won the pawns. That was decisive, right? That was really the key moment. But Leia, you were doing great earlier before. Well, we loved this how you handled the D file. That was very creative, right? We were looking at whether you should go here or here. Knight d6 or d4. Maybe
knight d4 I was nervous
even
about.
strong. That was a nice idea that she had though to challenge because it looked like you were just like, oh, I'm just coming in on the D file and you got to give me the 7th rank, but she flipped it on you a little bit. That was a good move. What's that, Xander?
Yeah, knight d4 I was a little nervous about.
Oh yeah, you don't want to see that. You don't want
Yeah.
to see that because it's threatening to double your pawns also. Well, this is hanging.
Yep.
She also has the idea. We looked at there are a lot of interesting scenarios of doubled pawns. So ultimately you doubled Leia, you took on the doubled pawns, but you had options to take on c3, I think, to double his c pawns.
Yeah.
And then there's the prospects of doubling even bishop c6 lines to try to double the f pawns. So a lot of double. This game came down to a few themes. We're talking about double. Well, what do you guys think? Yeah, let's hear what you guys think. Now, I'm not gonna. I already said what I thought. We exchanged ideas. Ronnie had a lot of ideas there, and we were having a good. Well, both you guys, but you had a lot of ideas, Ronnie. And so, what
Hey,
do you?
David,
What are your guys' thoughts on it?
David,
Yeah.
also, you want to go back to, I think it was the 6th move. We were talking about the.
Not to say you didn't have ideas, John, but I mean, no, you have ideas too. But I'm just saying, I was conversing with Ronnie a lot there. So, John, what do you think about the 6th move here? Yeah, this was very important too. The decisions around. Well, I'll quickly just go to the opening. You know, so it's interesting how Leia. Then we'll get to and then we'll just go from there. And for move 6, it's interesting how you play 9-6 because the main move is what, Leia. Do you know the main line here, guys?
Yeah, you take the D pawn.
Just take it, right? You just take it. And then the knight takes. Now I think it sort of transposes, but actually, Leia, I think it was pretty good. Let me do the analysis. I think it was actually pretty good for you, Leia. That you were fine. So we have, because now you get rid of the central pawn. Of course, Xander, you're hoping for. We talked about how you have a lead in development naturally in a Sicilian, open Sicilian. And yeah, she's gotten your central pawns, but you have piece activity. Okay, so you go for the check. Now I'm not sure about taking. We weren't really sure. Oh, again, we had sidelines here, and this is the sideline we talked about, the first one we spoke about, John, right? And what was that sideline that we looked at? A very interesting idea, very strong idea, I think, for white here. What do you guys think? And Leia, think about that. What do you see?
Leia just bounced.
Yeah, she left.
Oh, did she just head out?
Yeah, she said she had to leave at 1 o'clock.
So you said there's a strong
thanks
line
for
for
telling.
white.
That was a great game. She did really well. I think that was a good game. And she, even though she had some stuff earlier, I think she did very well out of the opening. And then I think it was when she doubled her pawns. That's when it started to, and you blockaded it.
Yeah.
That's when you got some pull. But then it got messy. And then, but ultimately it was then your rook 8 pawns. That was the deciding factor.
Yeah, I don't love the way that I played the opening. I feel like I should have gotten my queenside pieces out a little bit. I was doodling around with pawns in the center and then got tangled up in this position because I can't take the D pawn or I drop the bishop.
Right now.
Um,
Oh, you're right, because I didn't look at that, because queen a5 check, there is knight c3, and then boom, the knight
yep,
just.
and because the knight's on e4, I have problems. So I had to take the knight. At least it felt to me like I had to take the knight.
Interesting, and it seems like the knight should be more of a liability for her, but
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily.
I couldn't figure out how to turn it into one. I feel like I shouldn't have actually captured the c pawn. What I
Yeah,
would have done was maybe
maybe.
play bishop to c4 just to get some more activity.
Yeah, just ignore it. Oh, yes. Well, I think no. This is interesting because now we're looking, and then John will look at move 6 as you mentioned. This is interesting because so she's kind of she's not doing the main line. I don't recall what the best move is, but the thing is, how do you try to exploit this? Well, you might just have to transition. Maybe you just go knight c3, and then ultimately she takes, and you have a normal position, and now you can play a
Oh, that's good.
and then
Yeah.
it transposes. Maybe that's what you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, you're spending an extra move taking when it should be her taking, and then you recapturing and centralizing your knight and allowing f3 to guard your pawn or f4. So you see that might be a better version of it. Probably computer.
I was just playing hope chess. I thought I got to take I thought we got to swap queens and then she'd lose castling rights, but
right.
knight takes e4 just causes me a bunch
Well,
of
not to mention if she really wants to, she can play the check and take with the queen. I mean, probably not.
Yeah,
ideal.
exactly. So I knew I didn't like that move right after I did it. John, what were you saying about move 6? What's going on there?
Okay. So you take takes. So you saw. Yeah, okay. So we have a check. Now, John, what do you think about this knight t7? Sure, certainly she could have done this, but this wasn't, yeah, maybe this move is safer. Now that she did knight t7, though, John, what do you think about this position?
Yeah, I thought before. I thought she moved. I thought who was it? I thought he moved the pawn to attack the knight and the pawn.
Oh, but once again, he's probably concerned about queen a5. But yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
This critical line of what if you had pushed. But
because
again,
now
you're
if
worried about you still have this check to think about,
oh
right?
yeah. Because I
So
thought there
it's
was
like
going to be a
maybe you
fork
get,
there.
yeah, like maybe you get the knight, but then the bishop can always take back, and then she gets something. No, it's very interesting though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's really complicated. What do you guys think? Let's take a look at that. Let's calculate from here. Now the capture though is very good, I think. I think so. It's very good for you, Xander, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want.
So there's a fork, yeah.
Yeah, the check is now don't block with the bishop because then the knight gets
Oh,
off
yeah.
the hook. And I don't think you want to take that. That looks kind of nasty, some double checks or here and take there or something. Gets the, yeah, I don't know about that. The double check.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. We can look into that. But right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you already got the 2 pieces for a rook. So if you want, you could just tuck the knight back and and just say, okay, 2 pieces for a rook. Black's doing great.
My development's wretched.
Yeah, exactly. And then, well, yeah, but right, you can't bring the rook in the game.
I can't castle. I can't get that rook. Yeah, like it's bad.
Here, the knight just moves in like tempo on the bishop. And
Yeah,
then,
look how open the position is. Like against the 2 bishops, I'm going to be in trouble as soon as.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bishop and knight for rook, right? Plus the bishop pair there versus only one bishop. So yeah, that's great for her. So pretty much here, no, then you have to play what? What's the safe move you have to make here then? Don't trade knights.
Let's see.
Because the problem still remains with the fork on c6, right?
What about knight d7? Does that get me
Knight,
out of
knight bd2 here?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so hold on, which knight though?
Well, look. You
Yeah,
look.
I guess I want to
you
develop.
still look. She's trying to toss. She's tossing in the check, but the problem persists here. Like she's still forked here.
Yeah.
So you want to get something out of this while you can. So think about that. How do you? Because it's not like the queen move is decisive. I don't think so. It doesn't do anything once you deal with it. So how do you guys think about how to deal with that queen move the best way?
D3.
What's that?
D3.
Yeah, just like in the game, you place a solid c3, and I don't think there's anything there. I think you're just winning a piece. I don't
Yeah.
even know what kind of damage controller is there.
Yeah.
That should be winning. So then she would have to play. No, then she plays queen check. Wait.
Yeah,
No, she plays queen check, but she doesn't take
Yeah.
c6. Right, it was takes now. Instead, you do queen check now. Okay, and then you have your thing again. But look
Oh,
at this.
that's
Let's
bad.
analyze that. But then it take with check. That's insane. Like, what is going on? Because then the king is going to lose his castling rights. But oh, wait, how many? Okay, let's try to. This is really complicated. But let's just take a stab at this and try and calculate what's going on here. It's an interesting. I mean, it's a common moment that can
Well, I
happen.
can lose the rook here if I'm not careful.
Well, you have bishop d2 though. I looked at that. You have bishop d2. You cover. So yeah, if you're not careful, but if you play bishop d2, you should cover, right? So there's that stuff too. Okay, so what on earth is going on here? So let's say she takes your knight, then you take her knight with the pawn. What happens there? Let's calculate that. Practice your calculation. So it's basically like we have a bunch of puzzles embedded in the game, right? This is the best kind of puzzle that's actually it's in a real game.
I see takes with check. Bishop comes out. Bishop takes.
Oh, so you would win the rook. Let me see.
For who?
So if black takes the knight,
Uh-huh. Probably got to do it. Okay, let's say take the
and
knight.
then the pawn takes the knight, and then the
Or
queen.
yeah, that this way. Which knight?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's
There's
black's
that, there's
turn,
that
right?
one. There's that one too, or this one.
So if black takes, what is it, C2?
So yeah, see, knight takes c3 on,
C3?
right?
If the black knight takes the C3 pawn,
Now white's got two options. What do you think?
so then white takes the knight with the B pawn.
Oh, I think you want to take with check.
We'll take a look though. We'll take a look at both. That's
And
tempting.
then now
but just to
the,
see.
the queen takes C4. There's the check and the pawn, maybe. I mean, the rook.
Now there is one defense though that white has if this were to happen. But again, I think the branch that he would go for is this. As you're looking at these, looks like you like that. What's the check?
Oh,
There's that. But assuming this were to happen, let's say it happens now, or there's other versions of variations where that happens. What is white's defense there? Think about that. I mentioned it earlier.
right.
Whether does the rook actually fall or not? Once there's
All right. So what are we? So what are we saying? We're saying knight captures on c3, then white captures the knight on d7.
now
check.
that's the main line we're going to look at. But John
Oh.
mentioned it. So there are two branches here. One branch is the very powerful capture with check, but there's the other branch which is John's looking at. Hey, what if he were to take this way, then Leia can fork on c3. But in that case, does she actually get the rook? We just, hypothetically, it might be now, it might be in a move or two. Hypothetically, does she actually win his rook, or does he have a good defense against queen takes check?
oh yeah.
Oh no, he can move the bishop to d2, protecting the knight and opening up the rank to the queen defending the rook.
Exactly. And then he would still have that.
Still has the option of capturing the other knight.
Yeah. That'd be winning. But as you said, that's one branch. But I think the superior branch, we would toss in this check. And then things get crazy, like I said. Let's calculate from here. So let's visualize, work on a visualization, right? So let's say the pawn takes the knight check, then what?
Pawn takes the knight, then it looks like black will be capturing on d7 with the bishop. That's what at least for one first candidate move that comes to mind. B captures with, and then what's the follow up? I guess. Well, wait a second. All right, so
the bishop
yeah.
that we take, okay, the bishop takes or the king moves. Let's say the bishop. King moves is, hey, it's not something to rule out. That's fascinating actually, because then the bishop still hangs on b5. Well, then no, you just take there. You just take that then. So let's just say the bishop takes back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trade on d7, right? Take the king. That's where we pull the king out. Is that what you're looking at? Take. I don't
Yep.
remember.
All right, then the king has to still get out of check in any case, so either capture or move,
May as
obviously
well, right,
recapture.
may as well, otherwise you're just gonna eat that with check, right? So
Mhm.
we have captures, take
I have
back, so
white
we
to
do,
move,
we
so
do
we just
lure
have
the
the other
king, we
branch.
lure the king out. King takes back, and that's where, but see, that's where we might be looking at that line. Now it probably wouldn't happen on the previous move, previous decision. But now the decision is, should white take?
Yep.
Now we take it.
Yep.
And I think, Xander, would you just be picking up material?
Yeah, you come out a piece ahead. Right, black only
I
has
think
the bishop on
that's taken,
C8.
that's, so
and
we're
you come
losing
back
those
on three
ones.
and the bishop
So
on
three, yeah, wait, we have, how many pieces are being lost? Oh, white lost C3 and B5 and black lost 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So now I take C3, and if we take check, and as we said, we go here. There's no more check available, so queen goes somewhere. Oh, no, that's, sorry, that's the other line though.
Right, but the point is that line just kind of sticks on the end of this line.
Yeah, exactly.
White forces
We flip
black's
it.
the whole way through.
Yeah, we invert that.
Yep.
And then it's white's move. So currently, what's the material count?
2 minor pieces, isn't it?
Yep. but
Oh
one
wait,
thing-
But except
but
that
that's where we're gonna get the piece. That's where
yeah,
we're gonna
white recaptures with the pawn.
Yep.
right. That's
on
where
on
that's
C3.
that's where we're winning the piece. Yeah, the end
Yeah.
of the line. And then white's winning.
Yeah.
So let's see, and there's no good checks, but black can make it unpleasant for white to castle.
Yeah, I think you maybe this is hanging. If you really want to be solid about it, you can play like C3 and then Queen E2 or something. If you really want to hold on to your seat, something like that. But yeah, it should be a winning position. We have 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Well, and
6.
black still owes you a tempo. It can't get the bishop out.
Right. So here, yeah, I mean, if you really want, just play like see, you can also play queen here. I mean, sorry, bishop here, then queen out. Yeah, that's fine too. Bishop. How about this move? Nah, let's just, we don't have to worry about check. Let's just say you go C3,
I like C3.
and then like G6, and then just queen E2, and white's winning.
Yep.
All right, what else?
The other possibility is also if you just start with moving the white queen to D2, challenge the queen. If you exchange queens, then the fact that white doesn't have castling rights anymore becomes a lot less significant.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? That then it really doesn't matter that much that white doesn't have the castling rights. And on the other possibility is that if black decides not to exchange queens, then queens are on the board and you have your castling rights back. That's also one other aspect of this where worth that I would consider, probably, at least.
I don't think the queen's off the board makes this an obvious position because white's up a piece, but down to.
Oh well, yeah, that's also
None of the
true.
pawns
White's up.
are activated. So this is.
Oh,
Gonna be,
you're right. It is 2 pawns. It's 2 pawns.
yeah, this is going to be a slog.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a technically winning position, but it's, you just have to feel you're going to have to assert the power of that extra piece. But no, certainly. Well, what else do you have? I mean, I think that's the best you can go. And no, but that's a good reason why we would. Good reason for not going like queen here, possibly.
Right, absolutely.
Because then you got 3, unless there's something I'm missing. Oh, there is. Oh,
wait a second.
Wait a second.
Wait a second. Why did it simplify?
Queen blocks. Yeah, so this is now black is probably fine. If black is happy now.
Oh yeah.
Because they got a nice, okay, yeah, you got to finish your development. Okay, let's say here. Yeah, there's still, I mean, but again, you do feel the power of that extra piece. And so even the computer, I'm sure the computer still likes white here, but see, it gives them like a point. 3, mostly because of the fact that they have the lead in development and the pressure with the extra piece. But if black consolidates, then hey, those 3 pawns, and maybe this doesn't do anything. No, it doesn't do anything because you got king c8. They don't have doubling rooks yet.
Yeah, you got to castle.
So maybe she's okay, but obviously that's why I'm saying, yeah, it's looking at bishop e3. It says +3, c3 +3 almost. Yeah, like for example here, it does not look at queen e2 though. It actually wants to. Oh, that's a counter. Let's say b6.
So let's go back and take a look at some middle game stuff.
Yeah. Let's look what actually happened. Well, that's fascinating though. So anyway, point is that there would be a piece up. Now, again, generally speaking, though, you wouldn't want to go into that because yeah, it would be a piece up for like a couple pawns. So for that reason, C6 is the best move. Yep, just to check with the, since we have it open, the engine's saying C6, Queen A5 check. Oh, wait, it's saying Knight BD2 is the best move.
Oh my God, this is so
C3.
unpleasant.
Wait a second.
Super not want to play this.
Oh, wait, is that what we? No, no, oh no, we were saying Knight C3, weren't we? It's saying you should play Knight BD2. What's wrong with Knight C3? Wow, we missed something. Oh, is okay, okay. There's, oh, because now the fork is not as relevant because we got that stuff again.
Yeah.
Interesting. So wait, black is fine on. Wait, what's the material count?
Even.
What is going on? We have 3 minor. No, black has 4 minors right now. So white just gets the minor piece back, and once again, double those pawns up, and black has superior structure.
And the file. Yep.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's like, okay, finish that development. Oh, sure, well, I like that. Why not? Don't undouble them. Just do your thing. Okay, that's fascinating. So we missed that. That's what the computer will show us. So C6. So funny enough, we actually are supposed to trade that off. What on earth is going on? Okay, so now that's hanging, right? So it takes, now takes, without worrying about that. And then it's like desperado, take F2, and then you take D7. Wait, so do we ultimately win that piece again? 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. But
Yeah,
white's king is open. But yeah, that's not that big of a deal. You know, that's why it's saying like +2 almost. Anyway, this is crazy. So anyhow, the answer is just don't do don't go Knight D7. Yeah, I was looking at this move, but it likes not. Yeah, that's fine. She's fine here.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's totally fine. Oh, funny enough, I was looking at this move because I don't like that move. It weakens this D pawn.
Yeah, I would play
It's
queen
not-
E2. I was
That's
looking at that.
fascinating. Look at that. That's fascinating. Yeah, that's a thing you can do because you take it back, but under more favorable circumstances. Even that looks like a tricky move because then they're like rookie 1. No, you go there as long as you calculate. But if you really want to, you can go there. It's just you'd rather not because you want to develop your bishop. But even there, computer says even. You know,
This is a weird game. I felt like the knights were like in all the right places at all the right times.
yeah, all the right knights in all the right places. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have bishop b5. So ultimately, your bishop b5 wasn't necessary. So I was recommending this. But yeah, as you said, this all stems from your taking on c5. So you realize now that it's just kind of like wasted some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt.
But hey, she threw you off a little bit because what I was also going to say is this is not good. E5 seems tempting. It was like, okay, well now you're just gonna, black's just gonna do that and like knight e4, and black's actually doing well.
Yep.
Black's
Terrible.
doing very well, yeah. So anyhow, okay, let's get into the middle game then. Fascinating, really, really complicated. So yeah, as you said, you weren't too happy with the opening, had some improvements, but now she's
right here.
I'm like, look, she's doing well. She's got that really nice bishop pair now.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, right here she gave me a break by sort of letting me have the rest of the opening so that I felt like we sort of equalized. But I need to get castled and get some queenside pieces out before she can get her bishops to be super active.
I would not have even thought of that move. That's interesting. So the computer is just, I'm going to turn off the engine in a second, but it's like, okay, go ahead and take and then pull. Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now we probably don't take here. Yeah, because then they might trap our knight and get 2 pieces for it. We just take it. So it's a piece, it's a pawn sack, but look at that activity in bishop pair. Huge lead in development now, right? With the bishop pair. That's
black, obviously.
Yeah, that's great. So that's a cool move. Just something to, you study with the computers like those top players, then they really absorb those and they're able to use those computer ideas. We can try, right? But for me, it's usually what I recommend to my students is just look at it in terms of, did I miss something? Like what we just did. We didn't look at that line, the C6 line, I think it was. We missed a move. We missed a move in that variation that we failed to look at. So that's one of the more useful you can use. Anyway, let's go through this one, then we can play another game. But fascinating stuff. And then you can see that, so that's working pretty well. And then castle queenside. Anyhow, yeah, as you said, so you're both fighting for the initiative. So she pulls back, but again, I liked her bishop pair. But what I saw was, I think there was this queen d4 move you had, Xander. That's where you could have really fought for the initiative. I wonder if I was tempted to play this for you. Maybe
interesting.
I was tempted to do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about fighting for that long diagonal, but I only saw the slow way to do it with b3 and bishop b2. That's cool.
But then she's just gonna get there first. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't do it. Yeah. What did I end
I
up
mean,
doing?
this is more like I said, this is the way to exploitative way, just trying to exploit that G6. Yeah, maybe I was like, I mean, I think it's forced basically to go F6. I mean, I don't think she wants to do G6 just to end up playing Rook G8. That's not happy
Yeah,
there.
that's a
So
dope
you
move.
try and still try to get the bishop out in castle. And there are lines where that would happen, and E5 is a natural follow through in some cases. Like with knight F5, she had an E5 idea.
Right.
So yeah, this is interesting. Let me just check the computer eval there, if it's looking at Queen D4. It does like that move. Yeah, that's the main line it looks at. Look, Queen D4, F6. I mean, hey, you're inducing a weakness. Why
Yep.
not? I gotta
Yeah,
try.
so my idea at this point was to try to win the e pawn by playing bishop to f4.
Yes, yes, and again, we were analyzing that. Okay, I'm gonna take off the computer now, just the sharpest moments, just to see what it says. That's but it verifies the Queen D4 move. I mean, you got to try.
Yeah, that's a cool
You
move.
know,
That's a cool move.
why not? Right? It looks
Yeah,
crude.
I
I
should
mean, you
remember
develop
that
your
when,
queen,
when
but
I
you
can't
gain
get
it
to the
from.
diagonal fast enough. See if the queen can do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. When I was saying though, we were talking about, it's like, look, she's doing well. She's got a really strong, potentially very strong bishop pair, G7, bishop
Yep.
C6.
Yep.
She's got, when you talk about central versus kind of slash king side with central pawns are going to push. And then you have the queen's side majority. So you both want to use the majorities, and you got the central lines, half open file, fully open file.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fascinating, really great game, wasn't it? In terms of, so is that helpful? And Ronnie, I don't know if it's the first time we've been, we often talk about imbalances. So I don't know if that's helpful for you to look through that lens of imbalances, and we can see very clear imbalances in this game.
Yeah, no, actually, after you and I had our discussion the other night, I did jump onto Amazon and I began reading some of the sample of the Silman thing on how to re-examine your chess or whatever the hell the title of that thing is, in
Yeah,
which the whole idea behind that is exactly what you're talking about, all the different categories of imbalances, and basically he said if I recall and if I grasp it correctly, the whole purpose of his book is to kind of train improving chess players to view the game through the window or through the perspective of evaluating the imbalances in the position and then trying to create your game plan based on what those imbalances are telling you your advantages and your advantages are and the weaknesses of your opponent are.
Exactly. Now there's two ways of going about it. One way is the imbalance are there, and they're there in front of you, and you're like, okay, here's where they are. Let's evaluate. And then the other one is, for example, Nimzo Indian. You pin that knight and you choose to double the pawns, for example. So we create the imbalance. So it's like, should I create that imbalance? I'm gonna have to evaluate what it looks like afterwards, versus you're evaluating what's already in front of you. That's kind of how I view it, right? At any rate, yeah. So at any rate, it's like you make a decision to then have the game you kind of want, or the game's already there, and then you make decisions based on that. At any rate, yeah, you got to know those imbalances. And as you said, it's the categories. So it kind of forces you to go through it. It's a system. So you're not just going to make a move. It's like looking at two options. You can never just make a move. You got to look at two options. In this case, you're not even looking at candidate moves yet. You're just making sure you go through the categories of, the pawn structure, and therefore, weaknesses and control of lines, or what are the lines, and then is someone control, like D file is open file. Now can someone control the line, right? Bishop versus knight imbalances, king safety. So all of those things came up. A lot of them, really, pretty much all of them came up in this game. You just had to identify them. But if you don't know to look for them, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So F6, it's really nice, very efficient, pretty thorough way of understanding chess, I think. And then you have that framework, and then obviously you play your own games, you study GM games, you draw some of your own conclusions about how these top players play and what you need to work on. You combine that with your psychology, your thinking process, but then it makes you a holistic player, right? And there are obviously other middle game books, but I think that's a good one. Very good one. So, and he's entertaining too. I think he's he's a very, I think he's engaging. Kind of breaks it down nicely, I think. Okay, so Rook FT1.
So hold on,
This I think is maybe an error. This was very important here. I think she should have moved. I think she should have done that move. Because
go back for a second.
she shouldn't be. I don't think she should be. I'll look at it from her perspective here. Because I think she shouldn't be concerned about the queen trade. I think she should be concerned about the invasion on D7, right? And the doubling. I think
Yeah.
that's why I think she should probably go here. What were you saying?
One move back from this when I had or move 11. So I waffled here for a little bit after she castled on deciding whether or not to take on D6, right? Because that's
Oh, right. Yeah. Now we're here. Yeah. I was talking about that, about she can counter take on C3 in some cases. And is that what you were looking at? Why did you? Right. So effectively the E pawn, the knight's not hanging. In effect, the E pawn's hanging.
That's right. And the reason I didn't was because it looks to me like what I'm doing is just freeing her position further so that her bishops become stronger. So I asked the engine about this, and it said that the position was approximately equal, like minus 0.2. If we actually if I take the E pawn, which means that the bishop strength is worth the pawn.
Well, here's the thing. It's also that, she can choose to give the bishop pair back.
Yeah.
And then she can ruin your structure on the queen side. So it's like, hold on, are you really up a pawn? First of all, it's not worth much. People often give up in exchange to get those double pawns, especially if the king's there, even if it's not there.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it doesn't feel like you have the majority. So she's given up her central, her queen king side. So I kind of call it central if it's here, but king side majority. And then she's shattered your queen side majority for the price of that really nice bishop, which exposes.
Which is
her
why
king.
I didn't do it. And bringing
But
queen.
and then she'll probably win the pawn too. She'll probably end up winning that pawn.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why. Even without that, like let's say she chooses not to do that, and she just like lets her bishops tear up the board.
Queen
Well,
C6.
now she's probably gonna no. This is nice because she can go either way, really. I mean, I like black. I think I like black here. But I mean, I don't think she's gonna be down a pawn anyway.
Yeah.
She'll get the pawn back at the very least. Now she would love the end game because then we're really looking at that. I mean, no, you can't hold. I mean, this is winning almost.
No, my knights are garbage compared to those bishops. Like this is not going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I think she's winning another pawn in this line. Because if you go back to try and guard the B pawn, you can't go here because then she goes B5. And if you go here, anyway, it's bad, right? Then it's bishop takes, and now this one's gonna fall no matter what.
Yeah.
Because you can't go there, and then you just create into well then you have to go on B pawn, but whatever, it's bad. I mean, I'm sure it's considered winning or huge advantage. Huge advantage. When I say winning is usually closer to like -2.5, -3. In the computer's eyes, like -1.5, 2 is like big advantage. You can't say it's winning for black. I mean, maybe if the computer can find a win, but from a human perspective, it's like, okay, well, you got a lot to prove. Maybe you end up like giving up the bishop pair and you win a pawn, but then white and then white creates count. You know what I mean? So that's why it's saying it's a strong advantage for black. Got to do a little more work to prove it's winning, but strategically pretty close to winning, right? It's pretty bad. So worse positioning bishop. So yeah, as you can see, it does recommend taking, but it does not recommend taking a second time. Fascinating. See, get away from that. Oh, that's fascinating. Well, you can't really win the pawn because there's rook b1 and takes the. That's nice. Yeah, that's a nice move. Knight d5. That's a good follow through because by taking your pawn, by taking and pulling your pawn to d6 creates a weakness here. No longer e6. No longer have e6. So then d5 becomes a nice weakness. And make it about even is pretty sensible because the knight's really good, but the bishops are good too. And there's the c file and diagonal. So again, control of lines though. Control of d5 square, maybe d6 falls later, but I mean, there's black has clear play on the queen side, really. Nothing else. They can play queen side. Anyway, or bishop c6. So in the game though, you didn't do it. Oh, she had knight c4 there. Oh, that would have been so strong. Because then she starts undermining those. You have to go like queen c1 almost. But then I don't know, can we take c3 or something? Oh wow, look at those bishops coming out. Let's attack this.
Real uncomfortable.
Oh man, yeah, that's just crushing on the queen side to do that. You do not want to have to do this. And then she takes boy, black has again huge advantage for black there. So she goes here, which is not bad either. I mean, she's still doing. Let me get rid of that. Still nice for black again. I think she's pretty. That's where I think. You were doing really well. She was doing really well. She was starting to get something with that bishop. The bishop pair is worth a lot. And we were talking about how she, wants to start dream position for her is just rule those pawns maybe move the king, roll the pawns, and
Oh,
start a
I know.
king-side attack.
Yeah, I know why she played queen f5. I was planning to put the bishop on h6 and force the dark squared bishop off the board.
Okay.
He
I see.
defended against that. Nice.
But she's not giving. Yeah, she just probably didn't look at. I didn't look at that either. She probably just didn't look at that move because if you look at that move, it's like, oh, you're not giving time to play bishop h6. Yeah, because if you get rid of that bishop when you start trading, like those lines where this one gets taken and then the knight gets taken, of course white doesn't mind doing that because it does expose the black king a little more. So that fianchetto is very valuable. It's valuable in terms of being able to guard the black king. It's really, even if the h file opens, a lot of cases move the rook. Okay, you're not maiden on h7, the king moves. So that bishop on g7 is very important. But yeah, if we trade down pieces, the king's still safe. Got a Luft already on g7. But yeah, we love that bishop. Want to keep that if we can, or really get a concession like to smash the pawn structure. We don't just keep it and win the b pawn, or make them very uncomfortable. But again, threat is good in the execution. We'll just keep that through the threats alive, and just just tie up white until their position crumbles. All right, so knight f5. Now this is really, I think, the game right here. I do think that I think that she's got to go bishop c. Let me see if the computer agrees on bishop c6. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I looked at this as well. I'm like, nah, I don't think that's as good. Yeah, that's nothing there. It's okay, but this is just a strong move because, like, no, there's nothing to be afraid of. Take. Now, if she takes, she's giving you. If you take, you're giving her the file.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that.
And then
this is
nothing.
Yeah, I was trying to induce that weakness on the light squares. But I can't do anything
F6.
my queen comes off the board.
Yeah, she's got to react with this one. Okay, so you're like, okay, you want her to take. Yeah, see, when you see the take, I'm sure the eval is going to shift significantly. Yeah, it takes away her edge and starts to give you an edge.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think this was her decision. We'll talk about it. I'll tell her about it later. I think I kind of mentioned it. But yeah, no, let's play but I think that's really it, because then you're going to see you. But finally, that one move, though, I think the knight d4 move was where she comes back. Okay, we'll flip to your perspective again. Actually, it's no. Okay, wait. Where did it become possible? So Rick, I feel like it's a little passive. Does she have anything else?
So I was like super pleased with knight e4 because the bishop's not.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, this is what you want to do. And then we can say white has some edge now, of course, because the knight, we have the battle of the minor pieces. Maybe these are kind of similar. The knight's pretty good, but clearly the e4 is winning the battle over the bishop. The bishop is not happy on g7. And not to say it can't come out later, but can't do it yet. I mean, the pawn's
not hitting anything from there either. So
that's true. All it does is maybe if you have like a c file, but you also have like b3, c4 stuff. Start moving your majority. Got the file.
Yep.
But of course, you have this stuff too. You want to stick a knight. That's a weak square. So you're trying to get a knight in there.
Look at knight d6. What happens there?
What's that?
Let's look at this knight d6 move. Yeah, I thought that she could plug the d file.
Yes, this is strong. I think this might be even stronger. Oh no, she found the best move. Wow, that's better. I was surprised. I thought this was very strong. Okay, says see what she's diminishing your.
What's the difference in the evaluation on those two moves between the d4 and d6?
Quite a bit. 0.7, 0.8. Yeah, that's interesting. So why is it that? Because I don't mind if white wants to take the knight, be my guest. That's great. See, this is where black probably is doing very well, because now black undoubles the pawns and you start to see that bishop could come in. Yeah, black's fine. Yeah. Black's totally. I still like the knight, actually. I still really like that knight because the bishop is not a great piece in this game. Without the pawn, the bishop's doing a lot better. Got queen side play and pressure again here, right? But this is not bad. But that knight, you gotta try and dislodge it. Funny enough, the king might. No, I mean f3. It's problematic, right? But I mean, I think she can hold this. She can probably hold this at least. Try to activate. But now knight d6. Okay, so yeah, definitely that's not good, because now you actually lose the entire rook.
Yeah,
you're down a rook there because you're gonna get the knight back too.
Yep.
That's game.
Yep.
So you have to take.
So I take with check.
Now she's flipping it on you. She's at least she's not winning the file, but she neutralized it largely.
Yeah, I felt really good here, though. I have so many good squares for my knight still, and her knight is pinned currently.
Oh, that's interesting. Allowing this move, but then obviously it's like, hey, you want to take? Go ahead, take me, right? That's interesting. I was thinking, no, there's really no way to keep the knight out. It's going to come in if it wants to. Yeah. Anyway, she goes here, but yeah, as you can see, it's saying it's about even now. But yeah, then you played tight here, nice and tight. That's interesting. So let's say here now, and then just kind of make the knight probably take And yeah, again, like your structure is always a little better, but she's in the game basically. But as it went in the game, the really this is problematic now. So it's like computer sees it's okay for black if black plays perfectly, but positionally this is what you want. Right. Obviously you're super happy. That's a great knight on e4, and the pawns are weakened. And so the imbalances are all in your favor now. Pawn structure and minor pieces. And she needs to create something for herself. And now here, and then rook d7. I think that's probably your best move.
Yeah, as soon as rook d7 happened, I felt like this game was mine to lose.
Pretty much now. Well, the question is now, yes, I thought bishop f6 at some point. It's too late. Yeah, this is winning. Yeah, that's winning. You just get too many because you still have the stabilization in the center.
Yep.
Yep. Plus you're getting the pawn. Anyway, it's a fascinating game. Yeah, now it's too, yeah, then it's winning. Yeah, but again, like that knight is just a monster. It doesn't need to be on the 6th rank yet. It's just, and the moment it moves away, well, again, like the bishop can't do anything anyway. But the bishop will, you ideally play it here, but you can't come back because you get forked, right? But I mean, the bishop can find a way in the game after a few moves. Like in the end game, it will come in the game eventually, right? But again, as you said, it might not do much. But you have enough time now. It's going to take her so much time. You're just going to push your A pawn probably, and then you can help out.
Yep.
And then all of them. But yeah, maybe the king will come in the middle a little bit. Yeah, get rid of the back rank, melee threats. Maybe the king could come in.
So wait a second here. So it seems like there was agreement that what was decisive a couple of moves back was the ability of white to get down to the 7th rank. So I
ultimately,
guess
right. Ultimately, the first time she repulsed it, but then the second time it was in. Right. Well, it was that combined with this factor, the double pawns and the strong knight, positionally very good, right? And shutting down the bishop.
Right. Well, it seems like that the strong knight sort of stabilized things on the king side, which meant that the play for white was on the queen side and getting the advantage of getting down to that 7th rank. But I guess my question is, was white able to get down to the 7th rank in spite of what black might have done had black made the best moves, or was it basically
yeah, good point. I think I think once she plugged it up, right now he's not getting in, right? I think that maybe it was the knight c. This was probably remember the eval dropped a lot.
In other words, okay,
that was
good.
It.
In
Yeah,
other words, when
the
knight moved, that opened up the possibility of getting into the 7th
right,
rank. So
right. That was her defensive
how much
idea.
did the eval drop? How much did the eval drop when with the move there?
Like equal to +2. That's
all right. That's the key there. So that was the big mistake there.
Yeah.
And then again, we have things stabilized on the king side, especially with the knight on e4 and blocking in the bishop, and
it's winning. This blockading. Is strategically winning and tactically kind of too. But it's interesting. He's actually you're giving up your B pawn. Maybe she can try, but I think you're just munching too many pawns here.
I picked the B pawn up with tempo, and then
well, she actually has that move, but then you keep taking pawns.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, this is the problem which she was probably worried about. There's the 96. Okay, hold on a second. There's some back rank problems here. Oh, boom. That could be strong. I mean, you gotta be careful, back rank issues. But I mean, look, it gets a little murky, Oh, wait a second. I don't know. Maybe there's a better line for you. So you don't want like a free for all necessarily. Okay, so she could take. What do you have here? Is it taking the other way? Oh, check this out. Because okay, we still want action here. I think that's what she was worried about. Okay, you try to mate. Okay, so nope, that doesn't work. Fork.
Oof.
File.
That's rough.
So I think you just hang on here. So if she try, then you have time for this one, and that's winning.
Yeah, the e4 knight was winning this game for me.
This is winning because when you have 96 just wins on the spot, I think.
Looking for that mate. Yeah.
There's this one actually, but it's not pleasant. This gets mated, right? This one has to happen. Let's just see quickly so we can get moving. Oh, that's nice. Back rank mate ideas. Brooke has to retreat. What's going on with this one? I don't know, some threatening some stuff down here. Yeah. So yeah, it's too much. You know, the knights are just overwhelming. That's where you see the direct battle between the knight and the bishop. Anyway, fascinating game, a lot of imbalances. But I do think for Leia, I think it's simply her that decision right there. If she had gone bishop c6, excellent game for Leia. She has an advantage, but just taking gives you the advantage. That was really her moment where her turning point where she could have had something there. And it's going into a more stable middle game too. Because earlier it's like, oh, you have this and that, but it was dynamic. Now it's actually a bit static, right? It's a bit
All right,
static.
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
go
yeah,
get
you just
a-
move between. It's
you guys-
becoming, she's stabilizing her advantage, right?
Yeah.
What's that? I
I
mean,
said, I'm
it's
gonna go
not-
get a
it's not
Coke.
like-
Do you guys want to get on the game and I'll watch?
Yeah, let's do it. So now we're gonna have okay, you want to have John and Ronnie?
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
okay.
We spent a lot. There was a lot to analyze there, and we spent a lot, but that was good stuff.
Okay.
Stuff. Okay, so you guys go for it. You want to share your username?
Yeah, sure. My username is RJHORO.
All right. Wait a minute. How do I do this?
I'll put it in the chat as well.
Yeah,
Right
yeah, that's correct. I just saw it. That's right.
Yeah, great game, guys. Too bad
So
Leia
I
couldn't
s-
be there for the. I mean, yeah, maybe she could watch the video because there was a lot. There was a lot. Again, perfect game for imbalances and very subtle, but some of them were. But the most direct moment was really this moment right here with her decision. Again, if she's just thinking about this moment, could be very important to improve her game
Yep.
because she would really get something out of that.
Are you gonna give me a challenge there, John, or
yeah,
are-
I'm trying to
get into it? Yeah, what do you have?
what is-
There it is. He's Jay Barbza. So I'll look for your game to start and I'll click on it. So do you guys want to also just turn off your volume so you don't hear it? Once you start, just turn off your volume. I mean, you can mute it if you want, but just turn off your volume. That's what I meant before. So you
Oh, not the video,
you
the
won't hear
volume.
yeah, you just won't hear our commentary, so it won't, distract you.
Okay, so what am I doing here? What
Oops,
happened?
I turned
Close
off my
this.
speaker. How do I turn off the volume? Just lower it?
I mean, you could just turn it up. I mean, I'd recommend that because otherwise we're basically. I mean,
No,
unless you-
no. I'm not making myself clear. I'm muting my speaker. That doesn't stop me from hearing what you're saying. So how do I?
Right, just turn off your volume or turn
Oh,
down.
okay. All righty. Let me
Your
turn off my.
I'd
Just
recommend.
close.
I mean, yeah, that's good, right? Because then it's more like a real game. A
Yeah,
relative
no, that's
game.
cool. No,
Yeah,
there's
and
no
then we'll
problem with
that's
that.
what they were doing. I
Yeah.
think. Yep.
All righty. I turned off my volume. I'm still waiting. John, did you want to
Yeah, I'm looking. What am I looking
still
for?
figuring
So
out
let's
the
do
challenge or
so
something
challenge
like
him.
that?
Let's see if you challenge him. Do you want
I
to set
think
it up?
if you go into my profile, if you see where that magnifying glass is, you key in my name, and then I think you can challenge me from there. Or what's your,
Yeah, the
let me try that.
swords.
What's your
And then he'll
ID,
just
John?
do 15 plus 15 on
Oh, I
rated.
can't hear you
Or-
anyhow.
Oh,
Okay,
it's down now, yeah.
I just turned off my
Then
volume.
we'll do
Sorry.
the 15 plus 15
Okay.
unrated.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I put his name in. I'm on his name now, RJHORO. So
Uh-huh. And then we'll just do a challenge for, let's do 15 unrated. Okay.
I have to go step by step. I'm not sure what to do now.
Let me see. Well, I'll show you how I do it. Okay, you see how I'm on your screen, right? How I'm on your page right now?
Nope.
Go back to
Go
the
back to
screen.
Zoom. Maybe it might be easier for him to do it, to
Yeah,
invite me.
go ahead, John. But while
Well-
I'm here, I'll just let you know, if I'm on your profile, I just press the swords. And then I just say, time
Swords.
control, then I just change the time control and I say,
J Barbza.
Take
All right, let me do that.
that's all I do.
J
Thank you.
BARBZA. I go, all righty. No challenges. I thought if I go here, I have to do it on the lower one. Okay, what do you want me to do it to? 15 plus 10, is that what we said?
Up to you, 15-10 or 15-15, depending on how much
All
time.
right, 15 is fine.
Yeah, I got 2 more. I can go till after 2, so we should be fine. It's just we might not have a ton, depending on how long it goes. We might not have a ton of time to analyze your guys, but
Yeah.
we'll analyze during the game and after the game.
So
All righty. What do you want, John? White, black? Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. No.
So random.
Alrighty.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think, yeah, I'm challenging you. All right, let me shut off my volume so I don't hear what anybody's saying.
Same thing here. Let's see.
Alrighty,
And be
so
careful. Do
we're
not be
ready to
fooled. And don't be
go.
fooled
I'm
by.
white.
If you can hear me, don't be fooled by
Oh,
John.
this is
I'm
classical.
gonna shut
Okay,
down my-
Do not be
let's
fooled
go
by
like
his
this, see what this gets us.
John's underrated, so watch out for him. He's dangerous. Xander, where's the wait, is that like an attic or something, or is that what's the setting?
Okay,
Oh, you're muted.
interesting.
What's the setting of the
All
guitar?
right, let me just go there.
You're muted. You're muted. Still.
All right, there we go. Sorry. Did I get muted? No, it
No,
didn't.
yeah, I
Oh,
don't know.
I was eating.
I didn't press it. But what's the set? What's your guitar? Is that like an attic or something, or what?
No, so this is sort
Hmm.
of an office and a dormer on the front of my house. And
An office in a what?
in a like a dormer, like in a window. So this is the window over here that leans out of the front of the house, and this is just sort of my office space.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the back. The back has kind of like a barn look to it.
Yeah, so that's actually a door. It this used to be the closet for the bedroom that's next to this.
Okay.
But it's a big walk-in closet. So
Interesting. Yeah, it kind of has like an attic look or something to it.
Yeah.
It's cool. All right. So we got.
oh, and this is actually relevant. This is also my chess study space.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. You got one of those set up. Got a nice wooden set, huh? Okay. Are they going? Yep, they're going now. Here we go.
E4 opening. What do we got? Ooh, some
Oh, is that?
fianchetto.
It's kind of like the Mexican defense. Let me see.
Is that a thing?
What's it called? Mexican defense or two knights tango?
I've never. Yeah, this is
Well,
like
that's
stuff
where
that
you bring your knights out, but like maybe you don't need a fianchetto, but you bring the knights out, you might go like it could transpose into other openings though, like with D5 or E5. Or you
Yeah,
just
this is a
don't
wild
need
opening.
fianchetto. So it's called Mexican or two knights tango. Interesting.
This is the kind of stuff that happens to me when I play at like Washington Square Park in New York. I end up against these like two fianchetto positions, and I have no idea what to do because those aren't openings I face much.
Right. So he's sort of doing like a hippo, but in a hippo, you'd be going with E6 and D6 and tuck your knights behind him, right? So you keep your bishops open. So the difference here is that he's blocking his bishops, but but again, like let's say he strikes and he reroutes or something like that.
Mhm.
So you could be fine with it. So it's a thing. But typically double fianchetto, you'll at least stick one of them behind the central pawn. Okay, interesting. So Ronnie's kind of doing like it's a setup, usually C4, right? Or even bishop D3.
Mhm.
It's kind of a version of, like the Kali system.
Yeah,
But the Kali system is like a reverse Slav kind of thing. Well, interestingly, there's many versions that are similar. Like there's this reverse Slav, which is Kali or Call, whatever. And then you have bishop F4, which is a London. And then you've got, I think it's a variant of the Kali system where you have bishop Capablanca's done that before with black as well. Well, it's like what black might do in a Queen's Gambit, right? Where this could be a black position in a Queen's Gambit declined, right? Black might do the exact same thing. Orthodox, they kind of orthodox defense, like they get D5, E6, they got that bishop fianchetto, exact same thing that black could do, against the Queen's Gambit. So and then he can play C4 if he feels like it. Make it like he's playing. I used to do that when I was getting in chess a lot. When I was in like 8th or 9th grade, I'd always love to do that setup with the house kind of thing, with like a roof.
yeah.
It's like a Queen's Gambit, but you fianchetto when you play E3. It's very solid. It's just solid.
It's a pleasant pattern. Yeah,
It's a what?
it's a pleasant pattern, and yeah, it doesn't seem to lose very easily. So
Yeah, kind of a step thing. And then of course you could do it on the other side, like a Grand Prix with E4 and F4. So you can choose which side you want to do it on. But yeah, it's an interesting. They're both adopting a certain system. Yeah, and White's not like putting any pressure yet, but White has a slight initiative because he's the only one with the central pawn. So if you have a center,
yeah,
you have some something. You could push D5 or something if you want. So John's eventually gonna have to deal with, unless you eggs him on, say, hey, come forward, we play D5 when you want. And well, he's not even ready yet. You have to go C4.
yeah. I was gonna say he needs to prepare that, but
Yeah, like C4. He can
Or
even play
E4, D5
E4, but
works.
that'd be kind of slow. What's that?
E4 D5 works.
Yeah, he could play e4 if he wants, then you kind of transpose into like a modern defense kind of. No, no.
Feels
Yeah,
nice for
sort of.
space though.
What's that?
D4 is a nice space gaining move, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like you've already moved your e pawn once, but you could probably get away with it.
yeah.
But yeah, it's certainly c4 and stuff like that. Okay, so John's kind of playing a little provocatively, hop around a little bit. Maybe he's kicking out, but we'll see.
Is there any reason not to play bishop a3 here?
Bishop a3, huh? Well, the reason would be that you don't need your, you know, you're reacting to the knight, but then you're going where you wouldn't have gone otherwise,
Yeah.
right? So you kind of, well, you're weakening the c3 squares, theoretically weak. So yeah, actually, it kind of matters. But yeah, he's like, let me just kick you out of there. But yeah, ideally, you know, black would want to play like c5, but you would, but again, you would do c5 first, and the knight would belong behind the pawn there.
Yeah.
Um,
He's gonna
or
play knight d5.
what's that?
He's gonna play knight d5, and White's gonna play c4. I'll bet you.
Oh no, I wouldn't recommend that.
No, I wouldn't recommend it either, but I feel like it's coming.
We'll see.
That knight.
You know,
could be-
the other way to play would be like you know, pretty natural might be like for John might be like d6 and try to get e5 in. That's so it's kind of like you know, it's ambiguous. I like situations like that where you can kind of transpose, let's say you transpose into like the King's Indian, but you try and get there in a way that favors you, where your opponent who's like booked up doesn't know what to do, right? I mean, maybe.
This is really helpful for me. So one of my 2024 goals was to develop a repertoire that I feel like is sort of robust and avoids a lot of the sort of stupid gambits that I've been getting annoyed with.
Right.
So I started playing the Sicilian, and oh, good.
That's the right choice. He's like, fine, I got to go back, but you know, it's playing.
Yep.
It's like, okay, White gained some time, but not because of a3. I mean, a3 is a free move, but more so because it was Black's move and he passes it on to White now.
Yeah. C4 is the right choice now, I feel like.
Session expired. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's weird. I have the paid version. I don't know why it said that. Whatever. Oh, maybe it was from like a previous one that I had open. I have no idea. Hopefully it worked out though. It seems fine. I have no idea why I did that. Oh, it was probably like signed in on the browser or something like that.
Mhm.
Anyhow, what were you saying?
Oh, yeah, I was saying that I've been playing the Sicilian, and the one thing that I'm really struggling with, I mean, among other things in learning the Sicilian, but the main thing I'm struggling with is to figure out the e5 d5 pawn breaks, to really get a sense of when to open up the center of the board. And I feel like this structure is kind of similar. It's, you know, what's the right break here, because you need to open the center to do something.
For Black?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's kind of, I mean, there is the provocative way of playing where it's like, okay, just push all your pawns. Yeah. So Ronnie's not giving in there. He's like, I'm just gonna keep it nice and solid.
Yep.
I mean, we know he's gonna play c4 almost certainly now. But yeah, he could have done it immediately or not. Play queen c2 or something also. But yeah, so one way is you just let them keep pushing and then you like have them come into your territory. And then ultimately, you know, you move your knight or whatever, and then you punch at them then. Or you just voluntarily, you know, play e5 or something, which again might transpose into a King's Indian or a Benoni, like Benoni with c5. And then White bypasses that. So once you strike at them, again, you're trying to, when you're talking about playing systems with Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to try to make it transpose favorably, but you don't want to, on the other hand, you don't want to play a Benoni and it's like, well, you play a Benoni with the bishop on b7, it's not ideal. But here's John now making it somewhat more of a typical kind of situation. Although you don't want, again, that knight on c6 is not, it's atypical in the sense that you'd want to be able to play c6 or c5, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. But like, you know, he can play something like e6 and reroute his knight or something like that, you know.
What do you think about rook e8, preparing the e5 push?
But White's got that control, you know, on e5. Unless he had gone d6, you know, then you're playing more of a King's Indian type of thing. So currently White has the control. But yeah, certainly you can
well, that's what I mean. Rook e8 would give you the control back, right?
Well, he's got but your control is with the rook, his or with minor pieces. So you'd also.
Oh, I didn't see the. Yeah, no, the bishop. Yep, didn't see the bishop. Yep.
Oh, right. Otherwise, you could do it. But not to mention, you know, he can toss in like knight. You know, an interesting way to provoke him to come forward would be like knight g4, because then he goes to h3, and then you wrap around, and you're like, okay, you want to play g4 or something, or you come back to f5.
Yeah.
And then you get your knight, but then you also open up that. Okay, so naturally he's going for this. So now effectively we have like a queen's gambit. It's transposed into a queen's gambit structure. But again, John's got to think about this. The D pawn. Well, you might need to guard it with a pawn because basically you can see Ronnie. I don't want too many arrows. No, I don't think they're looking at it because they're on the main board. But basically, you'd have captures, knight captures, and then he steamrolls in. Check that out though, knight f4. But point, yeah, you might have some knight f4 stuff if he pushes. At any rate, might not work. I mean, because white's definitely going to be taking over the center there. Even you can even play it modestly. Just take it and just leave it there for now. Just if you can't put as long as you can't punch back with e5 or c5, although I do see e5 coming maybe. But also you'd like take and go bishop b5 and stuff, and white just kind of probes, right? Queen e2 or whatever. Yeah, white can try and probe here. So it's the kind of thing, okay, I'm sure the computer likes white's position, but it's like hyper modern well, not quite hyper modern anymore. But like if he takes on d5 and the knight takes, then white takes over that center, kind of hyper modern approach. Just let him push those pawns. And then it's, again, it probably prefers white, but it's ambiguous. Oh, interesting. Now he goes for the bishop move. Okay, he's got to be a little careful though, right? That's actually very interesting. Huh. That could work.
Yeah.
That could work. It's a little sketchy because the knight's loose on c6, right? Remember I said about that was more of a hypothetical point, like more theoretical, bishop a3, the weakening c3. But this is very much a real point now because the knight's loose gets attacked after the pawn takes.
Well,
But
and
I think he might get away with that though.
yeah, if he counterattacks by taking the bishop, it's a threat to the queen, so it's got to be responded to.
You're saying you take here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has that move, and then he can take back with the queen and guard the knight. I mean, it's a little loose, but I don't think he loses material just yet. I think it buys him enough time to save the c pawn.
Oh, you recommend taking back with the queen rather than the knight, I guess, because
Wait. Oh no, you'd have to tactically. That's the problem. You'd have to either move your knight or take back with the queen. You see what I'm talking about? No,
Yeah.
you'd have to take it because if you don't take that thing, he's going to steamroll you. You move the knight away to a5 or whatever, and he goes like e4, and then it really. But then he's winning the d pawn and he's steamrolling, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting. So John's kind of playing fast and loose a little bit. So he's making Ronnie think though, because Ronnie's he's out of his kind of prep for sure. But you can see since Ronnie did a flexible system, it's like he doesn't need exact prep. But let's just say it's getting away from your prep in terms of like knowing how to handle the queen's
There
game.
it is.
Yeah,
Right.
so he's forced now basically to take the bishop.
So I would have.
Otherwise, you got to play like knight to b8. Yeah, he's gonna take.
Yeah.
And then the queen should take the pawn. Oh, John saw it. Very nice.
Very
And now,
good.
and that, I mean, John could be fine. He could be fine if he consolidates here. He does have a very good move though. But even that he's still in the game. Okay, hold on. So let me attend to him for a second. But yeah, he has e4, right? He's got e4 here. The queen's gonna tuck back to d7. It's all forced to avoid. Okay. Yeah, let me get it. But this is fast. But John's okay, I think. I mean, but Ronnie's playing, positionally, getting some, classic center. C file pressure is very uncomfortable at C file. But Queen C4, you just trade. I think he could win a pawn with Queen C4. Take a look at that. I think that wins a pawn, you see, because he has 2 on it, and then he's going to get that. And again, then we run into that pressure on the C file. But instead, he does that. Yeah, I think he might be able to win a pawn here. So to see, okay, so take a look at that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, well, yeah, now he's thinking about this. I would, he's spoiled for choice. It's the kind of position where you can easily go astray with white here. Well, all the options are pretty good. Because, I mean, clearly this is where you're seeing an initiative for white, just because the center's rolling, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
the
Queen C4 is pretty gangster.
well, that's there's this, there's Queen C. Yeah, I mean the C file pressure, that's yeah, I mean Queen C4 picks up the pawn, does it not?
Yeah.
But you can see what Ronnie's just he's playing real cool. What do they call it? Close to the chest. Is that what the phrase is?
Keeping your cards close to the vest.
Close to the vest. That's the one. Oh, it's from cards. I see. I didn't realize where it's from. Okay.
There are a bunch of things like that that crack me up. I remember talking about taking a different tack at one point and not realizing it was a sailing term.
How is that? How is that?
So tacking into the wind. Tacking is when you sort of cut back against the wind and then cut.
Ah, interesting. Because that's pulled
Yeah,
from.
I thought it was taking a different tact, TACT, but it's
Ah,
tact.
yeah. All these saying. Yeah, it's interesting where Chinese is famous for its sayings, right? I don't. But I was looking at like I saw a book once on like, yeah, kind of English metaphor. I mean, probably a lot of them are taken from like old. There's some from Old English, and there's some just from par for the course and stuff, right? So you get things from different sports.
Yep.
Throw in the towel from boxing, right? So you got a lot of sports, and I mean that's a big part of American culture. And I'm sure there's British or ones that are about cricket and stuff. India and England on cricket or rugby or something like that. But yeah, America's got its own blend of,
Well,
but I don't think America's known. I don't think American English is known for like having great metaphors, but maybe it does have some that are interesting. What's that?
I was going to say chess gives a bunch of them, right? People love to talk about thinking 3 moves ahead or something like that. And
Right. It's interesting how people sort of simplify chess in a way.
and forced error. People love unforced error. That one comes from lots of sports.
Yeah, I hear that in tennis a lot, right?
Mm.
Huh, that's interesting. Is that so? It's a similar idea. It might have the same. That's a sharp one. It's a similar idea to Queen C4, but it's creating not really a pin because the knight can safely move. The pin is really on the C file. No, sorry. No, it's effectively because when you move the knight, you trade. He still picks up the C pawn. So it might be same difference kind of thing. I don't know. But I think he's winning. I think he is ultimately winning that C pawn because you got to move the knight now. Ronnie's not giving him any other options. I mean, you can't counterattack anything else, right? Because he's stabilized so much, the E and the D pawns, So essentially, he's trying to work against his knights. Pretty good strategy there. What do you think? Okay, does Ron have any counters? What do you think?
What about knight takes?
The
queen's D4 and then knight to E2 is kind of nasty.
You said knight takes D4.
Knight takes D4, queen takes, knight to E2 check.
It doesn't work though. It looks like it works. Well, interestingly, then he'd be trading pawns like, oh, I win your D pawn, you win. Yeah, but it doesn't work because what does he do after knight takes D4?
Oh, the king moves, but the rook then takes the C pawn. Yeah.
But not even that. After knight takes D4, there's a better move for white. He doesn't need to go into that line. So look at the options after knight. Oh, then he succumbed to the attack.
Oh no, he's losing a piece.
Yeah, it was a tough. I mean, basically, he had to play like knight back and let him take the C pawn, which wouldn't have been pleasant. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the computer would be like +3 or so because white's pieces are coming in, and ultimately he had kind of a lot of potential energy in his position, right? And the solidity.
So what was your suggestion after knight takes D4?
The knight takes back on D4. He just takes back because it guards
because it guards the queen. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So he would simply take back and then he'd lose the knight. It would lose.
Yep.
So but I think probably he doesn't have that either. Wait, no, the queen takes. Again, he has like, if he takes the queen, but even then, he'd be, but this is probably the move. Would it be that one?
Yeah, I think that's right.
There is some stuff to try to look here, but everything's guarded, everything's guarded just there. But I think that what we're seeing here is the two central pawns that were pushed in a timely manner, and they really exploited the knight placement. But ultimately, this is where, so Ronnie was able to shift it into a favorable Queen's Gambit, where the pawn did not have any pawn guards on D5. So if you have like a Grunfeld where you let them take that, you let them evaporate the center, but we're not in a Grunfeld setup, so it doesn't favor black. So really, what I think he had to do was when he struck with C4, black has to go E6. You just got to hang on to that pawn. Like I said, so you see the position I have there with C4, E6.
Yep.
Then you tuck the knight on e7. That's how I try to make like kind of a makeshift defense here. Then I think black's in the game, right? Again, like I said, you could have wrapped to f5 or something.
Right.
And hey, maybe you get your own break in like rook c8. Maybe you go c5. And then black might try to neutralize things. White still no, I mean, because it just shows. I mean, it's not like white's position is that ambitious. So as long as black is solid, they're in the game, right? But ultimately he succumbed on that. No, bishop a6 was the mistake. So rather than bishop a, did you? Yeah, that was just like in Leia's game. The critical, well, that was probably tactical in that it loses the c pawn and lets the rook invade. In Leia's case, I don't think it had to lose like material necessarily, but it was just strategically, very strong for white. Right.
All right, let's see where we're at here because it's on white's clock again.
Yeah, I think, but at that point, I think it's kind of tough. I think it's just a piece up. But hey, we'll see if he finds. But yeah, he's just up a piece, clean piece up. So it's gonna be tough.
All right, maybe just needs to use his time wisely and convert.
Sorry, John. That ace bishop a6. It was the bishop a6 move. Yeah, but again, like I said, remember, it's funny. This came up. You mentioned, oh, what about bishop a3? Well, it's not like you really have a5 because then he just goes c3.
But now you block. Yeah, you've
like,
done this trouble to put your bishop on this diagonal. What are you doing? Yeah.
No, actually, then knight d5 works.
What?
Because then he has c3. Then you literally see the immediate result. It buys him time, right? So then he threatens knight c3 basically, right? So then the bishop is like, oh, fine, I'll just go back. And then it's black's move again, right? You see what I'm talking about? So if you had gone bishop, if you were playing white, you go bishop a3, knight b d5.
Oh, yes. Sorry, sorry. I thought we were talking after a3 still.
Yeah, because I think you mentioned bishop a3. I mean, yeah, the natural move is a3, or maybe you could do it later. It doesn't really matter. But you're talking about bishop a3. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, the fundamental positional idea though, there's this c3, but also the fact like, hey, I'm not going to go, like, I didn't want to go to a3 originally. Why am I going to go there just because you're sort of provocative move? I'm not going to go off course because of that, right? It's the sort of willpower kind of thing.
Yep.
Initiative, fighting for the initiative sort of thing. So with bishop a3, but then there's knight bd5. I was like, oh crap, now I have to deal with c3, so I go back to b2 again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the end of the world. But then finally black corrects and goes c5.
Yep.
See? And then you go c4. I guess knight c7, something like that. I mean, white's better there probably, but it's like a Benoni. It's like it's a game, right? It's a game. But black might transpose into a Benoni. So it's funny how we get these. No, actually, I don't want to look at that. No, it's just interesting. Bishop a3, knight here, bishop back, c5, c4, knight c7. But now we're hitting d5. Now we're hitting him with b5. Typical Benoni. So point is, we're going to be here. They're going to have pawn. We hit him with b5 now. Typical Benoni stuff, because you want like a Banco Gambit,
I see it. Yep.
It's like, yeah, if they take, you take this. Then they're going to have to be like e4. They're going to have to be going e4. Take, b-file pressure, so black's in the game. It's like a normal-ish game. But yeah, basically knight b4 didn't work out because of a3. Again, you got to go back, and then that's where white. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I would probably just play c4 right away. It didn't really matter. What's that?
Just two tempos that got burned when he needed to be doing some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, effective. What happens? It's interesting when people say gain a tempo. Like if your knight gets kicked, effectively the first tempo is the a3 move. But okay, so effectively the first tempo is well, black doesn't do much, but white gets a3 in for free, which is not that valuable. Like for example, let's say, oh, you move bishop h6. I think we've talked about that in some of the classes, but like bishop g5, h6, bishop h4. It's like some people might think if they learn about tempo, it's like, oh, you lost a tempo. It's like, okay, basically they got an h6 for free, which might actually be weakening. It's aloof, but it might actually be weakening with like a bayonet attack, right? So it's like that's different. So a3 sort of, but it doesn't hurt white's position, right? But the main thing is that after, so he gets in, then it's that it passes the move on to white. So white gets a3. It's more that, yeah, it was black's move. Now it's white's move.
Yeah, black needed to do some things to improve his position, and he essentially just handed the move to white. Yep.
Right. So white got an a3 for free for what it's worth. I mean, that helps him play b4. So for what it's worth, he got that in. But most importantly, it's white's move. And as you said, yeah, he needs to be, basically, you got to be moving. You want to be playing c5.
Yeah.
You really want.
All right, let's see where we're at now.
Yeah. But I think at that point, I think it's it's tough now because it's a piece up. But hey, you never know. You never know. There might be a miraculous.
No, exactly. White's burned a bunch of time, so I'm curious what's happening here.
Yeah, he's still got 6 minutes, but I think Ronnie just likes to, be cautious and take his time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have an end game. We have an end game. Oh, no, okay, John, got to do it. You got to go C5. Well, the other thing, because it's, oh no, my bad. Well, you could, because then you can play for the file, right? Let's say takes, and then rook takes C5, and you can't challenge it yet.
I mean, currently black has nothing, right? Like currently black has nothing to speak about, so they need to get
right. No, it's a winning position.
Oh, double pawns, or double rooks.
Yeah, it's a winning. It's like resignable at that point. But
Yeah.
all right, hold on, someone's there at the door. 1 minute. But yeah, at that point it's rough. He might resign. We'll see.
Now he's down full rook. No, still a piece. 6, 1, 2, 3, 7.
All right. Hey, but John's a fighter, and like I said, he's even though Ronnie's higher rated, no, I think John's under. Oh, this one's higher rated than the other one. He's underrated, I'd say, because no, he's a very good attacker. I think ultimately, yeah, both games came down to one thing, This one came down to the ability to handle the C file pressure and the center. But again, like the trick there is really E6, I think it is. Because the thing is, that's an example where you give into the kind of Queen's Gambit idea, trading off a D for C, and then he steamrolls. That's it. You got to play E6, or that's like classical. Again, it's like a quasi declined, right? With the knight, but it's like an offbeat version of Queen's Gambit. But the other way is C6. You don't have to play C6. That's like a Slav.
Yep.
Right. So you want to kind of, again, you sort of got to transpose into that standard kind of standard, it doesn't have to, but like standard-ish. But I think, yeah, this game was all about it. I bet you we look at the computer, it probably likes E6 and not bishop A6.
Yeah.
But I think this by force loses it by force loses a pawn, the bishop A6 move, because everything flows, right? Because now you gotta, the only other move to play is a knight move. Let's say he goes knight A5 here. Like I said, E4 is going to be devastating, right? See the steamroll here? You got a cluster of pawns pushing. It's a double pawn, doesn't matter. It's a strong pawn on D5, Because pretend like that pawn's not there, it'd still be good. But that the double pawn just makes the cluster stronger. Then he loses the D instead. I mean, maybe that's the best line because at least he's not letting him invade yet.
Do you feel like the knight is well placed there? I feel like the knight just sort of got in the way after a point.
On C, yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. It's kind of like if you look at the Shababa London system, with knight C, the London with knight C, your openings there with knight C3 after bishop F4.
Yep.
It's the same thing. I'll try to exploit that. I actually saw Magnus play a nice game where what he does is he just plays E6 and C5 and A6 and B. He plays A6 early, stopping that knight nonsense on B5. And then he just goes rook C8. He's like, okay, I'm going to open it up. And I'm just going to put some pressure on your C file and your knight. So that's a subtle way of exploiting that knight C3. So we
Yeah.
see this in the two knights tango or Mexican. I mean, my student was just talking about the Mexican defense. They called it. So either way, so it might have another. I think it has like 3 names. Look it up. Look up the Mexican defense. But yeah, the idea is that the two knights. Yeah, the other famous one is the Torre attack, Carlos Torre, right? I think he's the most famous Mexican player, probably. Or I think he's not alive. Carlos Torre, I think it is. So this is also yes, the Mexican defense. I don't know who popularized.
This is of Lasker Torre fame.
What's that?
This is the Carlos Torre who played Lasker famously.
I
It's like-
think yeah. So that was like early 1900s then, right? Yeah. So but again, like the idea there. So I mean I think Ronnie just handled it really well, and the idea there is to exploit the placement of the knight. And that for that reason, I would recommend E6 and D6 and tuck the knights there. Then you got a hippo, which it's kind of sketchy sometimes, but I mean, I've played that a lot in blitz. I tried it in long games. I got a draw from a sketchy because I did like a piece sack for 2 pawns. It got kind of crazy and was able to hold it. Although I ended up a piece down for like not that, but then I got like a lot of pawn play and he kind of freaked out and I got a draw. But yeah, and then I lost a couple of games with it. So I'm like, I went back to the Caro-Kann and did well with that. I got 6. I know I told you like in the Eastern Open, I lost my first 2 that I won. Then I won 6 in a row, and I was using the Caro-Kann exclusively. And it worked. I was like, I'm just going back to solidity. I'm gonna play solid and win these games, you know.
Oh right, yeah. So you've been playing the bird as white for a while though, right?
Yeah, the bird's been served. No, I used the bird. I played after I lost the first 2. I went conservative with the English, and I won like against hanging pawns. And that guy wasn't feeling too good. I was like, okay, I felt kind of bad, you know. But hey, you got to show grit. He wasn't showing grit, you know. He was a kid, and he just didn't show resilience. I don't know if he dropped out. But he lost his first 3. Then I've been there, and then I won 5 out of 6. When I wrote a blog about that, it was like a turning point for me. So I like to have comebacks, comeback kid, right? But yeah. So the bird served me. I won all the games with the bird after that. People every time I played someone, they're like, I don't know how to play against the bird.
I was thinking about you. So there's a grandmaster named Raven Sturt. Have you heard of this guy?
Sturt. I think I've played. I think it was at the Marshall Chess Club. I think I may have played him. Maybe he wasn't a GM. I played him at the. Yes, I played him in the Marshall Chess Club. Maybe he was an IM. Do you know if he became? He's like what? He might be in his 30s.
Yeah, he made GM like in his late 20s or early 30s.
So he was probably like an Yes, I believe he was an IM when I played him at the Marshall Chess Club Championship a few, 2017 or something like that.
Yep.
So what about him?
Well, he was just on the Perpetual Chess podcast recently, and he was talking about how he has a chessable course. Oh, that's a move. He has a chessable course on the bird. Apparently, he's just been like crushing at blitz with it.
The bird. I mean, look. There's a famous Lasker double bishop sacrifice game. You know that one?
Yep, I know that one.
The bird. Capablanca.
Was that a bird opening? I don't think I've ever played the whole way through that game.
Oh yeah, go. Oh, because you've seen the Bauer. It's Lasker Bauer, I believe. Bauer.
Yeah, I've seen the end.
I've been showing my students quite a bit, but yeah, you know the famous double bishop sack, but not the whole game.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's good to see. I mean, his opponent sort of just played into his. Oh, look at that! Look at that! It's not over.
No, this game's getting weird. So if you back up to the last few moves, it was like white wasn't quite sure what the plan ought to be.
Let me see. Well, that's something that Ronnie showed his strength in the opening and the early middle. Well, kind of we're in a queenless middle game, I'd say, pretty much. Like right now, it's swell. So I wouldn't say it's like a full ending. I would say this is like a transition, like a late. Let's call it a late queenless middle game, right? But now we're approaching. Yeah, we're getting into an end game now. We're definitely. It's like let's say it's transition, very early end game. Right? There's a lot of play on the board. Like you can imagine, if you can use those 4 pieces, I mean, you could easily create mating attacks. So when there's mating attacks around, you're not really in an end game. Now we're in an end game. But 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's a winning end game for white. It has to be. I mean, the 2 minor pieces. There's no the rook's in there.
Oh, Adams Torrey. That's the game I was thinking about.
What is it?
Adams Torrey.
Which game is that?
So you were mentioning Carlos Torre, and I was trying to think of what game I knew of theirs. I've heard that it's a composed game, but there's a game of who is E. Adams? Let's see.
But hey, I mean, John came back though. There's definitely more than a glimmer of hope here. I mean, you know, it's 2 pieces against a rook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, it's a winning position effectively because if
Yeah,
you're
but it's gonna be
got
time
2,
trouble.
I mean, the 2 minor pieces, right? Exactly. It's hypothetically or theoretically, it's a win for white, right? You got the 2 minor pieces, you got the center, currently the rook's in there. It's a winning position, right? It's like a +3 or whatever. But I mean, hey, you came this far already, and you know he's hoping to squeeze a little something out of this to create at least like an equal situation.
What do you
So
think
let's
about
see
activating the king, like king to f7?
sure, of course, you kind of have to.
Yeah,
Because, well, I mean, you could go G5, Knight F5, King F7, but
there
that's
you go.
correct. So now John's like, hey, I'm fighting back. He's going to show his endgame strength, and
Yeah,
Ronnie,
you're down a
again,
piece. You gotta-
Ronnie should be doing very well, but he's got to prove it. And as you said, you know, when you're low on time, we do have 15, but he likes to take his time. So no, it's a good situation for Ronnie. You can think about what he needs to work on. You know, obviously, you know, I guess he's figuring, okay, work on his endgame or something. You know.
like you can safely play e6 here.
Which move?
E6. I'm looking at that as a way to
Pawn
room to-
E6.
yeah.
I'm a little worried about that pawn, but maybe you can challenge it. Let's see here. The only thing I don't, what do you think I don't like about that move? Well, no, tactically, I don't like it. Tactically, it doesn't quite, it's going to give up material, actually. See what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, if you go back, if he were to play E6, think about where white's pressure is. Well, first of all, you're offering the trade, which would pull your king out more.
Yep.
No, actually, that's not good in a couple of ways because the king gets exposed on E6.
Yep.
So white has two moves that win a pawn. You see what they are?
Hold on, let me stare at it for a second here.
So E6, pawn takes pawn, king takes.
Oh, I see. Pawn takes, king takes, and then knight can take on G6.
That's what I saw first. Plus, and then I looked at that move too.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. The king is holding G6 in place, so that's no good.
Right. And you don't really want to play, and also just the fact that you got that the rook becomes stronger if you move the pawns off the 7th, right?
What is the knight doing over there?
Right. What just happened?
The
You're
knight
saying
went to B6.
Well, I mean, if you can achieve, like, I see an interesting idea. If you can get an A5, A4, and if I was thinking rook attacks, you got rook D6, but then he's got like a bishop D4, and the knight's going to get dislodged. Then you're going to lose the B pawn or something. But I was thinking A5, A4, and then you come into C4 or something. That could be that's an idea. I mean, what does black have here? You know, because he doesn't want to. I mean, he could sit around, but there's really not too much active stuff. And then white's beginning to press. But hey, he's like, this is, you know, there are 2 ways to go, like I talked about earlier with the center. It's like either you let them move their center forward and then you counterattack it, or you proactively attack. So like here, we either proactively go for stuff or we kind of just wait for white to like try F4 or something and hope they make a mistake, right? And hope that like E4 falls or something, right? So there's 2 ways. I mean, they say passive defense fails, but okay, that's direct, right? He's like, look, I don't like your rook in my territory. But then the rook, yeah, he doesn't give him time for like rook B7, rook C6. He can go rook B8, right? Yeah. So point is that black just needs to stay solid, put at maximum resistance, and hope that white makes a mistake somewhere.
Yeah.
Or force white.
There you go.
Point is, he got to a position where he can continue to force white to make the right moves. Right. So is it the way I viewed? I was thinking about this earlier. Like when playing, like no one likes to really play low-rated players because you got nothing to gain, unless you want to play like you're doing target practice, right? But no, you know, it's not fun. I'm sure I won. Like I won 6 out of 8, but I was playing under 22 because my rating fell a little before and below it, and I didn't have time for a 4-day, so I did under 22. And yeah, I mean, losing to those 2 players, I probably like my FIDE rating because it's FIDE rated as well. Probably got smashed. Same with India. I had a plus score, but my FIDE rating got like 50 points or more down. You know.
Mm.
But the way you could think of it, I think, well, 1, it is not target practice, but it's good technique practice if you outplay them. But 2, it's almost like, hey, look, if you get a draw at least, like you deserve it, but I'm gonna, if it's an equal game, like let's say you're playing black, just get an equal game. You just put max. Oh yeah, that's interesting. You just put max pressure on them and say, look, if you get a draw through accurate moves, good for you. You know, but you put the pressure on. No, it is. You put the pressure. Yes. Yes.
Yikes. What are you doing? Just take. Yep. 2 pieces down. This is going to be hard. Oh no. That's bad news. That's bad news. That night out.
Okay, what happened? So basically, it looks like John. Okay, I'm coming. It looks like John. I'm gonna head over here real quick. It looks like John wanted to create activity, but then he's giving him some material. Okay, let's see how this goes. Yeah, I'm gonna walk with the computer.
Bishop.
Okay, what's going on here? This game just keeps evolving,
Yeah. Activity was not the worst idea, but given that time pressure was imminent, I would have just played solid.
Right. Well, I mean, the B pawn. Okay, he's getting the B pawn, maybe.
Guess what?
It's just, but now you're seeing the strength of the minor pieces here because the minor pieces kind of guard everything.
Yeah, they're controlling
So
all the good
rooks
squares.
can't do enough. What's that?
They're guarding all the good squares.
Right. I mean, you could take the B pawn, try to get, but then he's going to counter attack on E7. He can cover E7 though. But yeah, you're starting to see the mind. I had a game like this against. It's funny. I should have. Hold on. I was playing Philadelphia Open. Should have pretty late. I played like a 2400, but it ended up going my way. I got 3 minor pieces for the rook, and it was just too much. It was too much.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, I think you're right. Taking the A pawn's the safe move, given the time is just keep kicking the clock back to black right now.
So I just keep giving the what?
Just keep kicking the clock back to black and make black come up with plans.
Right now, he's the one that was lower. I mean, it's been pretty cool. Well, yeah. I mean, Ronnie's time is getting a little low, so he's got to be careful about the under 1 minute range.
Yep.
But yeah, he's just going to put that pressure. It's interesting though because there's no like decisive move yet. The rook has to probably go to E8. But you start seeing when you let that rook take E7, the knights come in, it'll be real dangerous. But he's probably got to go. Okay, he guards. Now that's fast. I mean, look, he's up a pawn. Not too many. I'll make sure it doesn't take too many. No, not too many sour gummies for you guys. Yeah. So we have that's fascinating. I mean, look, he's put in the bird. He's put the onus is on Ronnie to try to use those 3 minor pieces. I mean, yeah, it's 9 for 5, but it's got to show his technique and time pressure, right? I'm gonna beat it while they play.
This is one of those horrible moments.
Level.
This is one of those horrible moments where you're looking at it like, okay, do I remember how to do the knight and bishop mate? All right, that's a thing maybe I could get to.
Right. Let's see how it goes. I'm curious.
That rook's pretty strong. Let's see. Can't quite pick off the B pawn. I think I'd probably go for that, though. I think that would make things challenging. So rook to D3. Yep. And now knight to D2 holds it together.
Kind of be in and out since I guess I'm in a overtime with the kids, you know, they need a little bit of help. So I'll just be in and out, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Well, you see the 15-minute, you know, they've been down low on the clock. They've been down on the clock for a while now, but that 15 minutes, you know, wait, what do we have here?
Not quite into pressure yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, John is resilient, you know, he's down what? It only says he's 2 points down. I mean, come on, three pieces for the minor piece is very good. But you know, you got to prove it. You do have to prove it. Because it's kind of like three minor. Let's say you have three minors against a queen. Even that could be pretty good, but you got to coordinate them. Same here. I mean, the three against a queen, anything could happen, right? Depends on the position. 3 against a rook, I mean, it's winning, right? But you got to coordinate. What if he loses one of them? Then he's up 2 pawns, and he'd have a rook for 2 minors. Then he can easily, very, very possibly could hold that, or even win if he's not careful.
One of the knights is going to F5.
Right. I'll be strong.
Yep.
It's got to play he'll probably go E6. I mean, Ronnie's got to watch out for the A pawn in some cases. If the bishop gets too ambitious, you drop the A pawn, you know, you start.
Probably a second ago.
What's that?
I don't think I would have played rook B1 check. I think, let's see.
Rook B1? What?
Yeah, so I think I would have played A5, give up my A pawn so that I could take.
He rook B1. I see. Yeah, sure. You don't need rook B1. The rook's pretty good on B3. So you want to go A5, and also you chase. Well, what would happen? A5, bishop C5, maybe B4 then. Maybe
Black
B4.
has 2 pawns now. Weesh.
What's the 2 pawns?
Black has 2 pawns for.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll work on that with Ronnie too, in terms of like when you're ahead, how do you do with it? And then with John, pretty much with John, it's the opposite. Work more on the opening, and then once he approached the end game, he played extremely well. He's like, hey, I'm in survival mode right now. You know, it's like with me, like I talk about comebacks. You know, get in trouble first couple of rounds, like, all right, I'm gonna bring my best game right now, rather than collapsing. You know, could bring out your worst or your best. Or your best.
Oh, he's got it guarded.
Wait, no, it's not guarded.
Well, now it's not, which is a mistake.
Now, I mean, sure, he could have taken E7, but he didn't want anything murky. You know, like let's say you take again one of those piece up scenarios, but Black would have. I mean, Black would have only had 1 pawn if he had taken E7, Rook takes, Bishop takes. Yeah, it would have been winning for White, but still, he's like, oh well, Black has 2 versus 1 on the queen side. Maybe he's a little, you know. So.
Oh, now he can. Yeah, now he can safely take on E7.
Yeah. Now he should try to pick off some pawns.
Yep.
But hey, you know the way this game's gone, anything could happen, you know.
Yep.
I mean, let's say Black gets to like move the F, or like move the F pawn and like win the F pawn or something. But I mean, obviously, you know, that just got to get those minor pieces working together, and they can blockade his pawns. But I mean, if I were playing with White here, I would just keep on ganging up on pawns. Just use your 3 pieces to pick off those pawns, and trying to set up. And then in the meantime, you know, set up some things. Yeah, that's the way to go, because that's the way to go. Yeah, that's a beautiful square for the knight, and then
Whoops.
that might be the decisive factor. And then you got the king takes H5. We'll see if Ronnie takes it or if he tries someone else. I mean, H5's hanging, F2 is hanging. I mean, you know, sometimes it happens where you're like fixated on the F pawn, you might forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
no.
I mean, come on, it wouldn't have been fun. It's going to be fun. Well, I think John probably noticed. I think he probably noticed. Yeah, he did notice. Wow, what a game. What a game.
So what's the idea here? What do you do if you're black?
For black, gotta use your A. I would try and play A5.
Yeah, I think like rook to A8 to support that push, and then
Maybe, why not? Just go rook A. I mean, white doesn't have anything imminently here. Just go rook A. I mean, white should be probably just going back and taking the H pawn.
also it's going to be super hard to actually mate with these three pieces. Like it's not impossible, but like you have to be super accurate. And so I feel like king E6 to pressure the knight and kind of get moving. Yeah.
You should probably just check him and then grab the pawn. Oh no, wait. Yeah, 97 check forces black to cede the H pawn. Because you go at H6, yeah, the knight comes in F5. But you really start seeing the knights working that
Oh, nope, that's okay.
Oh, whoa. There's a check.
Yeah.
There's oh wow. Oh, he missed it. Rook check would have forced the win of the knight. You see it?
Yep.
Oh man.
That's too bad. That's
This is a dramatic game right here.
Yeah.
Oh no, now we gave it the rook again. Unless he has a stalemate. John, you had rook d4. He had it. Wait, okay. So rook d4 check. Knight to g. Did he find it? Oh no, he didn't find it. Okay.
Still works.
Oh,
No,
he
it doesn't
still,
work
no,
anymore.
not yes.
No, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he's gonna play knight f4 check and seal the deal pretty much. But you know what? No, what I would have done with white though, after king g6, was just go where would it be? What was the move I was talking about? I thought I saw something there.
This is a game.
Oh, what I would have done with white after king g6 would be to go 97 check. And what a dramatic game. 97 check, and then king tries to hold the h pawn, then the other knight goes to f5 check, and then the king abandons the. But that's how white wins. White wins by, forget about the mates. You just go king takes h5, and you move out of the way. Don't fall for any tricks, and then just run the h pawn, and you could easily support the h pawn with the 3 minors.
So white is low on time. Here's what my strategy would be. At this point, oh wait, where are we? Rook g8 check. Oh yeah, no, this doesn't work anymore.
What a game. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I mean, again, it's a theoretical win, of course. But you even like right now, even if you pulled away a knight, like it would still pretty much be winning, right? But you know, you got to prove it in practice. And John needs to just not lose his rook.
Yep.
And keep up the threats. And yeah, probably you want to go for a5 at some point and get rid of the a pawn. So you
exactly. And if the knights aren't coordinated correctly, you could run your pawn.
Try to win the bishop. If you win the bishop, you might be able to hold. But amazingly, even then, the 2 knights and the pawn on h5 should win, you know?
Yeah.
Should.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, now you're going to start seeing like knight f5, right?
So given the time trouble now, I would walk the king over and swap the rook for a knight and force.
How would you swap it?
Run the king to h6.
You mean take h5? Well, take h5 if you need to. No, you go king h6.
Rook takes h5 once the king.
Oh, check it out. King h6, knight f5 check, king g5, and start creating some threats.
Yep.
Oh man, but no, John's moment though was when he had that d4 check. That was because he had the king on the side. He had a tactical chance there.
Yeah, that was savage.
The knight would have blocked, and then he even had f5 to attack the knight again. Let me go there real quick.
Yep. There we go. Yeah, so if he plays h6, I would swap the knight. I would swap the rook for the knight and the pawn. Oh, man.
But right here, he had rook check, knight blocks.
Oh, no, doesn't work. Damn it.
Well, okay, if I'm playing in John's position now, again, oh, you're going to lose the pawn now. If I'm playing it, oh, you thought he had skewered it. No, there was no chance.
For a second, I thought so, yeah.
If I'm playing in John's position, I'm gonna start pushing those queenside pawns. There he goes. He had a5, b4. I'm gonna start pushing the queenside pawns. At the very least, okay, you have threats of winning one of the pieces back.
Yep.
But at the very least, you're gonna give it up and then try to stalemate. Because you can see, just imagine how many stalemate. Oh, nice. Okay, back in the game again. And oh yeah, he's definitely back in the game. Definitely back in the game because, you know, 2 connected pass pawns.
Yep. And a lot of time on the clock.
He regains some. What a game.
Yeah, now white's going to have to find a plan to force the king off of the square he's on. with one of the knights.
Yes. That'll be knight e6. Yeah, that's the way to go. Knight e6 to g5.
Yep.
That'll be the way to go, because then those two knights are just those two knights. Once you get to g5, you just push the h pawn because you're
Yep.
controlling all the.
Nope.
Where's he going? I think he doesn't want to lose his f pawn, but now he's going away from the action.
Just push the pawn. Just push hard.
Right. Not only that, but you got to keep an eye, and you might want to keep an eye in your own corner. But I don't think it matters. I think you let him push his pawns. But then, hey, who knows? Hold on. But then you might have. Wait, hold on. Okay.
Now he's got to defend. Now he's on his back foot.
Yeah. So there might be. Okay. So for example, there are other. We're just trying to think of hypotheticals, right? And then you try to actually get there. But
Yep.
the hypothetical there would be that the rook would sack it. The rook would sack itself for the h pawn, and then you move the pawns. Now, obviously, then the knights would, then he should easily use just the bishop itself can hold off the two pawns. But yeah, but again, then the other hypothetical is stalemate. Now, like I said, knight belongs on g5, but he might go somewhere else like f8. I don't know. Okay, he's tying him down.
Knight pinned.
But you see, you really start to enter stalemate territory. Let's say go rook b5 and push the a pawn. Then you get in those situations where it's like, where it's like, you just might give up the pawns and then sack the rook or something.
Yep.
Stalemate.
This is feeling like a draw.
It's more draw-ish. Well,
Oh, finally got
draw
east
is not
for the board.
impressed. No, I mean it's still a win. It's still a win, but it's the bishop.
Oh no! Knight to e7, knight to f6. That's
What is
mate.
it? Where's the mate?
Knight to e7, knight to f8 is mate.
But he can't go there because the rook has to keep pinning it.
Oh crap! Yeah, that knight's pinned.
Rook has to pin it.
Oh my
I
god!
mean, even if he goes down, you could check him away and make him move the king or something.
Yeah.
Amazing defense. Amazing defense.
Oh my gosh!
Now he's trying to win the bishop. But look, again,
He's gonna win on time.
move. Okay.
All
But
right.
now the king gets a tempo on the knight. But
Oh
even-
no! There's.
No, but you can hang the knight. You can hang the knight probably.
Oh yeah. Oh
Because
my god, this is so stressful.
you gotta play h6. You have to play h6 now, right? Oh wait, hopefully he's not listening. I don't think he's listening.
Yep. Oh,
Okay, I'm not gonna recommend any moves just in case they hear us. I don't think they do, but I don't want to recommend any moves in this critical moment.
Yeah.
But look, even then the bishop's not going to control h8 now. There
Oh,
is a
savage.
win still. I believe there's still a win, but
Savage.
there is a win in that was the way to go. Yeah, not sack it. Okay, is that a win? That's a win. That's a win. Yeah, that's a win because we're not there with stalemates yet. Well, you gotta give up the bishop now, right?
If he sacks if he promotes to queen, you can sack the rook, pull the king to the white squares, and then promote to queen. Oh, there it is.
That's
Pawn's
the win.
done.
That's the win, huh? There might have been no, I mean I think we could have done probably if he had simply queened and then let black queen, he would have had a mate. Easy mate, probably with it, because you'd have a queen, two knights, and the bishop chasing the king. Easy mate, right?
Yeah.
So we could have had a crazy scenario with both sides, but now it's resignable at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. All the
That's a lot.
oof. Oh my gosh.
What a game, though. We got to look at the chart, the graph there.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be spiking because certainly when it. Now the question is, did it go in John's favor? Did it ever wait? Was there a moment where John was winning at all? I think it was more. I think it was more that he was coming back in the game.
All right.
Hats off to John, though. It was really nice defense that game.
Well, kudos to Ron for keeping his pulse in check through this entire.
Well, he made a few good moves with 1 second on the clock.
All right, mate and two. Yep, there it is.
Wow.
Kaboom. What? No, that was mate.
What? Nightmate. It's nightmate, yeah. Because there can't be a stalemate against the pawn. Good
No,
job,
that-
guys. Really good game.
Oh, did that work? Oh, that is a
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, it's a nice
I
night.
thought he was going to mate with the queen on e7.
Right. May as well use the knight though. Yeah, I didn't see. No, I was expecting that too, but it works out. Nice game, guys. Very
That
nice
was a
game.
wild
That was
ride.
great defense, John. No, I mean that was amazing. How John was coming back.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say it was more a wild game than a
Wild
good game.
game. Absolute
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it looked like you had him right, but then he kept coming. No, I mean ultimately you gave him something back.
Exactly. When he
Yeah.
made that move with the dark squared bishop, and I just left my rook hanging, and that
On
was
C- on
up
C7,
until that,
C7.
and basically before that, it was basically it was sort of what is known as a counting error, which lost him the knight earlier, which gave me the edge up until the point when I blundered the rook.
Yeah. Ultimately, what I was thinking, we were talking about, I was thinking that you played really well in the opening, and then probably it looked like your work would be in the closer to the transitional phase and converting that endgame. And then John was great at putting up some serious resistance. And but there were a couple moves, John, where there was a crazy move. Look at this. There was a moment where your king was on the side. Over here, where was it? There was a rook check right here. See that? So basically,
right.
Well,
Where he
you'd have to
could
give
have.
up the knight. You'd have to give the knight.
Well, wait a second. There was some I saw in that, and there was some way that I was able to.
The rook, no, the knight would block. But basically, I mean, look, all those positions are theoretically winning for white. Basically, with the two, look, it's two minor pieces for a rook, but those are easier said than done, right?
Mhm.
So, but I mean, once you had the three minors for the rook, it was winning. But yeah, you didn't need that, John. I don't think you didn't need that one. Just go like rook b8, hang on to that knight. Try and play like a5, a4, try and push your e pawn. Some stuff like that. I got to go pretty quick, unfortunately, pretty soon.
Sure.
But I think
That
in
was a great
general,
game, Joe.
here's my general
Good luck.
assessment. Yeah, awesome game. My general assessment, John, is the two knights tango thing. The two knights tango thing, the knights or the Mexican defense. What happened was the knights, so you were trying to prove the knights were misplaced, right? The knights will often go to e7 and d7 in these positions with pawn I don't have my mouse on for a second, but e6, d6. Hold on, guys. Yeah, take one. Okay, so yeah, we got it, guys. Hold on. So yeah, basically, then this one kind of went astray. You want to try and you got to get your guys. Hold on. You got to get your break in, right? So basically, what happened is then you got your C pawn going, and here's the key, John. You want to see he's trying to dissolve your center like a queen's gambit, right? So you want to be able to play e6, and guard that d5 pawn to be able to take back with the pawn, because that's what you're trying to do, Ronnie. Queen's gambit. Now it's become a queen gambit, and you're trying to say, hey, it's a queen's gambit where you don't have a declined kind of thing with the pawn guarding the d pawn, right? So we see, like right here, you want e6. I think that was important. I think out of the opening. Let's just take a quick look. You see the computer saying. I was looking at e6. Yeah, it still likes. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, e6 is what it likes. Yeah.
No, I was thinking maybe a knight move, but this is annoying. Okay, maybe you got to go rook c8 or something like that. I don't want to have to take here. Let's say you go here. I'm just trying to find a tenable situation here. Let's just say a random move. Now I kind of wanted to go like knight e7. And then maybe I don't really care that much about it. It's annoying. That is annoying. Yeah, but like you're in the game, you can like wrap your knight around. But the point is, this does nothing. There's nothing there. Black is completely fine. But but the point is you got to hang on to that center, John. Yeah. So once you lose that center, and then I think this was the moment. Look again, yeah, e6. It's kind of like with Leia's game where she doubled the pawns and got in trouble. This game it was about bishop a6, loose knight. I think it was a forced win of a pawn. Because once it's captured, you gotta take back to guard the knight, and then he's got this This is possible. Also queen c4, queen b5. I'm pretty sure they all went a pawn. Yeah, I looked at that. You can't go there because you get forks, so you got to go back to d7. Also queen b5 as you did would be fine. Oh no, then we have this one. Takes, check, and then take. Wait, hold on. I looked at that for a second. How about this move? Wow, c5. What? Oh, amazing. Because when you take back, you pin the knight. I didn't even look at that. Wow. Anyway, there's some stuff still. There's still some stuff. But I would recommend, just go what you did, queen b5, or no, wait. I mean after here. Or queen d5 is fine. Or queen c. Oh no. That's the way I was looking at it originally. No, that's what you gotta do. I was looking at this line originally. But amazingly, that Xander was looking, I'm like, nah, it doesn't work, Xander, because you got this move. But I did not even look at c5. That's incredible, because you can't do this, right? So you go c5. Now the knight, that's when the knight can't move because you take the queen, right? Amazing. And if the queen takes, you take back, unleashing the strong bishop. Well, then you just take that guy. And you're okay. Wait, apparently there's this move. Then I got to run. I guess we take with check and the king moves. I don't know. I don't mind. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And hey, black's completely in the game. No material down. Amazing. Let's get back there. Knight's hanging. Get the knight back in the game maybe here. Boom. Black's fine. Equal material. Amazing. So anyway, the other thing was what else? I mean, but then it was pretty much, then it got, you guys were in time pressure. And then John, you got to try c5. You got to get, because look, when you go b5, you have a backward pawn. Got to go c5. You need. Hold on. Yeah, and then there was white's winning there, and then ultimately, the rest was a crapshoot, right? But basically, yeah, you just gotta hold on, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, I guess I gotta go, guys.
Not a problem.
Okay, but yeah, you just gotta. Okay, shh. We got a few kids over. Okay, so yeah, that's what you do. Just move your rook. But then, guys, and the rest is real messy. But awesome job. I'm getting you one. All right, awesome job, guys.
Good class, Dave. Thanks. Good game.
All right, great seeing you guys.
Okay, good game, John.
All right, take care. See you guys soon.
Okay, take care, everyone.